radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Night. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Monday, September 27, 2021. Let's do this, man. 270 days into the new year. Only 95 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful. Yeah, it is. It rocks. Night. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking? Tonight, I'm looking forward to this one, folks. First-time guest, Awakening Man. Yeah. Well, he calls into the show all the time, but tonight he is our guest, along with Ra. Yeah. They're both here tonight to talk about their recent UFO Bigfoot road trip that started right here at the bunker. It did. Yeah, started right here. And Eric disappeared for 3 weeks, I think over 3 weeks, with Ra. And I think they had a couple of other guests with them. I will let them tell the story. Okay, I'm not going to get ahead of my skis here. I am not going to be a spoiler. No spoiler alert. So I'm not going to do that. But they just went on a UFO Bigfoot road trip, and they went to a couple of the hot spots. So what did they see? What did they discover? What did they hear? Did they take pictures? Did they shoot video? I want to find out everything. We're going to do that tonight. And I do know that Eric took a lot of pictures, but he shot video of the entire trip and is putting together a video series. And I think, well, it's up to him. But maybe we will release it on the Fade to Black YouTube channel, if I can talk him into it, if he will allow me the privilege and the honor to get that up there on our channel. I would love to do that. So that is tonight on the show. Tomorrow night, now this is road trip week here on Fade to Black, because tomorrow night, Billy Carson is here. He just got back from Egypt. And now I'm calling this show tonight, tomorrow night, the Halls of Amenti. And there's a reason for that. All right, so you get ready. That is tomorrow night. Billy Carson just got back from his road trip. And then Wednesday night, first-time guest, Todd Standing is here. He's going to be talking about his search for Bigfoot. He is always on the road. So that is Wednesday night. It's a big show. Wednesday night, Todd Standing. And then Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. All right, at JChurchRadio. The Sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. I want to, speaking of the Sandbox, I'm going to scroll back. Meow, I love the peanuts. Meow. Who is that dancing there? Because that's a good video. And that's what I wanted to cruise back to. I wanted to ask Meow who that was in the video. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll get an answer to that. Like the peanuts, though. The peanuts dancing is really cool. Okay. All right. Any questions during the show tonight? Hashtag F2BQ right there on Twitter. Hello to everybody watching all around the world. If you are watching on YouTube, Facebook, right? Wherever you're getting the feed, the bunker cam. Right. Okay. That's where things are sitting right now. Let me see. We are good to go. Okay. I'm going to get straight to the breaking news. Tonight is Race Hobbs' last night and show with KGRA. I want to thank Race for all of his hard work and dedication with us over the last 6 years. He's been doing the KGRA for 10 years, and we've been part of KGRA for the last 6. It's been an amazing ride. He is the reason why Fade to Black is on KGRA. We could have gone anywhere. We went to the KGRA because of Race Hobbs. As for the future, well, nobody can predict anything. So I am going to say this. We'll see what free will has in store for Fade to Black. There you go. Right on. Okay, Race. We'll see you out there, bro. Wing, a home drone delivery service operated by Google's Alphabet in Canberra, Australia, was forced to temporarily shut down after its devices kept getting attacked by ravens that were guarding their nests. The latest attack was captured on video and posted online by Ben Roberts, a local resident who orders coffee every morning with the service. Rumor has it, it's Fade to Black blend because Ben likes his coffee dark. Now, I posted the video on Twitter, so go and check it out. It's absolutely amazing to see. A new force has entered the fold in the ongoing search for Gabby Petito's fiancé, Brian Laundrie. And that's Dog the Bounty Hunter. That's right. Videoed over the last couple of days knocking on the Laundrie's front door. The famed TV personality and real-life human tracker has thrown his hat into the ring to help try and locate Laundrie, who was vanished and has been missing for a couple of weeks now and is currently the subject of a massive manhunt as he's suspect number 1 in the whole case. Laundrie's disappearance came at the height of the search for Petito. The two had gone on a road trip together, chronicling their travels on social media with the hashtag van life. But Laundrie returned home without her. Authorities found Petito's remains in a national forest in Wyoming, and her death was ruled a homicide. Dog the Bounty Hunter gets involved. This is going to get figured out really quick. Also, breaking news from earlier today. Singer R. Kelly has been convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges by a federal jury in Brooklyn, New York. The federal case in the Eastern District of New York, Kelly faced a total of 9 counts, 1 count of racketeering with 14 underlying acts that included sexual exploitation of a child, disgusting, kidnapping, disgusting, bribery, and sex trafficking charges, and also faced 8 additional counts of violations of the Mann Act, a sex trafficking law. He's going to be sentenced on May 4th, apparently, that's May 4th, 2022, in connection with racketeering and sex trafficking charges. He looks to be spending many decades in prison. Now, I'm not going to be an alarmist. I'm not going to do that. Hey, are you guys watching Squid Game? Have you guys peeped that out? I know that I said over the weekend I was watching Midnight Mass, and I pounded that thing, man. I binged that in in about, I was going to say in a day plus an hour. I couldn't squeeze the last episode in, but got that done. It's pretty cool, so check that out. And it's not what you think. Anyway, I'm going to leave Midnight Mass on the side burner, but it's excellent. Check it out. Have you guys watched, I think it's called Squid Game. Squid Game? I just finished the first 2 episodes. Holy mackerel. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, but it's subtitled, so you've got to get through that, but it's wow. Okay, so we will find out where that is going. Anyway, I don't want to be an alarmist, but a solar storm will slam into the earth right now as I speak to you, causing auroras to dance in the sky at much lower latitudes than usual. And as a result, the northern lights may be visible tonight in the northern United States. That's right. I'm talking about from Washington State to Wisconsin, including New York, all the way across the top. The storm, which is made up of charged solar particles, may also cause satellite disruptions. That's right, including power grid fluctuations. All of this at high latitudes above the 55th parallel, a line that runs through Canada, Northern Ireland, and Russia. all of those Russian Russias. Yeah, man. So, if you're up there, if you're up that far north and the show gets a little bit funky, you know why. And I hear my fan running in the background, and it's way down there. I apologize for that. I normally turn it off during the show, but I hear it. So that's what's running in the background. All right, I'll take care of it, but you're going to have to wait till the break. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow. Today is 49. Okay, look. Avengers, Iron Man, all that. It's okay. It's okay. The Royal Tenenbaums. That's the movie. And Gwyneth, I think off air, she's one of the funniest people out there. I think she's great. And, of course, Blythe Danner is her mom, and enough said right there. But I really like Gwyneth. So happy birthday, Gwyneth, 49. Meatloaf today is 74. Sean Cassidy today is 63. I thought he was older than that. I didn't realize we were that close in age. And guitar great, dare I say guitar god, Randy Bachman today is 78. Our dead guy's birthday today is Greg Ham. 1953 to 2012, died at the age of 58. Greg played saxophone, flute, and keyboards and was an original member of Men at Work. Yes, it was Greg who played those amazing flute solos in their international hit song, Down Under. But later, Men at Work and their label, EMI, were sued for plagiarism. The flute riff was copied the 1934 nursery rhyme, Kookaburra. Didn't know that. The Federal Court of Australia ruled that Down Under did infringe the copyright of Kookaburra and awarded Larrikin Music royalties. Greg said that he was deeply affected by the judgment and felt it tarnished his reputation, saying, quote, "I'm terribly disappointed that that's the way I'm going to be remembered, for copying something," end quote. Greg was found dead on April 19th, 2012 at his home in Carlton, North Melbourne. He had a long battle with heroin addiction, and the cause of death is still being debated. It is known that he was despondent and emotionally distressed over that copyright lawsuit filed against him. Happy birthday, Greg. On this day in history, OTD. It went down. This is a big deal. I mean, this was on the news all day long in Los Angeles. I can't speak for the rest of the country. But it went down when Zsa Zsa Gabor, on trial for slapping a police officer, storms out of the courtroom in the middle of the district attorney's closing argument. Later that day, Gabor was convicted and sentenced to 72 hours in jail, 120 hours of community service, and a $13,000 fine. Imagine slapping a cop today. Yeah, that'd have a whole different ending. Fader fact. All right. Now all I hear is the fan. That's all I hear. That's all I hear. Man, it's way, way down there. Oh, well. Fader fact. Joseph Stalin struggled with depression. So he gets on the phone. He calls renowned Russian psychiatrist Vladimir Bekhterev. Calls him in and says, "Examine me." Well, after that examination, Bekhterev said only one word: paranoid. Bekhterev died the very next day of poisoning. That is your Fader fact. Tonight, very special guests, Awakening Man and Ra, join us. We're going to talk about their recent UFO Bigfoot road trip that started in the bunker. It did. It started here. Tomorrow night, Billy Carson is here, and he just got back from his road trip in Egypt. Tomorrow night's show is called The Halls of Amenti. You can figure out all of that on your own. Wednesday night, another road trip show. Todd Standing is here. We're going to be talking about his search for Bigfoot. Man, what a great week on the show. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right, now it's time for me to hit this River Moon coffee. You have no idea. You need one of these. I got a wheel over here. I got to come all the way over here. Grab this out right here. And then I got to wheel back. I'm back. Fade to Black blend. You have no idea. When this comes in the mail, right? And you've got 8 of these. Maybe you got a couple jumbo bags, whatever. But that comes, there's my picture right there. Right there. Right there on the label. This comes, you dance. Like, the Fade to Black blend is here. It's here. Oh, you have no idea. Get a coffee grinder. You can get this ground. Don't get a ground. Go. It doesn't matter, man. Go to Target. Sears is all closed. But go to Target. Go to Walmart. I don't care. Sam's Club. Costco. I don't care where you go. Get a coffee grinder. Go to Amazon. Click. Search coffee grinders. Get a burr grinder if you really want to go all in. Get a burr grinder. And a whole bean. Whole bean. Oh, man. It's the best coffee in the world. All right. RivermoonWellness.com. Is that Zsa Zsa? Was she, okay. Was she on Petticoat Junction? Or was that her sister? Was that Zsa Zsa? Her sister was Zsa Zsa Gabor, Eva Gabor. I'll tell you a funny thing about Zsa in that trial. So there was a witness to the trial. I can't remember where he was from, but she called him a baby. Like, there was like a gag order, and this is a sensational trial here in L.A. And Zsa loved the press, and she loved getting out in front of the cameras, and she was trying to make statements every day. The judge said, no, that's it. Gag order on this trial. And Zsa goes out, violates the gag order. This is my memory. I could have it wrong. Okay, but she gets out there, and she's like, his name was like, man, Amir or something. You know what? I got that. But he's from the Middle East. And she calls him a baby and says something else, and like attacks his nationality. And then she comes back and tries to apologize to him and says, I speak Turkish. I think, or whatever she says. And he's like, I'm from Pakistan, or I'm from Iraq or something. He comes back with it. She goes, oh, close enough. Zsa. Oh man. All right. Slapped a cop. Where am I at? Rivermoonwellness.com. Fade to Black Blend. Promo code F2B Blend. All right. I wanted to say this before I bring in Awakening Man. Ra's going to be with us at the top of the hour. Awakening Man's coming in first. There are one of my favorite things to do, and look, I love cooking. I love having guests over at the house. I love the celebration of dinner and sitting around. I love the company of friends. It's the ultimate. As much as I enjoy that, and that's one of life's greatest pleasures, is a road trip. And I like going on road trips, and I like going out with groups of people doing night watches and hanging out all night, food and all that stuff that we do. But there are, without question, spots around this country where things seem to jump off. It's a fact. And yes, there are places in Utah. There are places in New Mexico. There are places, Crestone, Colorado. There's, I just said Joshua Tree. There's places in Washington. There's Oregon, right? Shasta. There's places all over. And there's many that, and my point being that this conversation that's about to happen tonight happened here. So we started here. So we were able to do my two favorite things that night. We had dinner, drinks, dessert, right? Did all of that. Sky watching. Went on a little road trip and went out and saw some stuff. I posted all the pictures on that and stuff. But this evening on the show started here. And so Awakening Man, Eric, pulls up to my house. He's got his road trip van, and it's no joke. He's got his bed, he's got his generator, he's got coolers, lights, batteries, this, that. It's packed. And I said, how long is this road trip? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Starting here, he's going to spend the weekend here at the house. But he went to Oregon. He went to Wyoming. He went to Idaho. He went to Montana and drove all the way up and then came back down through all of those states looking and searching for everything. That is dedication. And I was talking over the weekend. I had Steve Bassett over at the house. Great dinner. And we're talking about road trips and going out. And and it was a long conversation with Steven. Talked a little bit about Awakening Man and the stuff that goes on in the Mojave Desert right here. And you can go out just about any night and see something. It's insane. And so we talk about these other magical places, but this road trip started out here, and we saw some stuff. It's absolutely my favorite thing to do. Now, I believe, let me say this. I believe that there's a lot of things happening right here in the Mojave Desert. Edwards Air Force Base is a training and test facility of the highest secrecy. That's here. You have Raytheon. You have Air Force Plant 42. You've got Lockheed Skunk Works, all within a few miles of Edwards. It's what is going on, right? And then you venture out into the Mojave. We've got Anjali talking about this underground ET base somewhere here in the Mojave. I don't know where. Like to find out, but I don't know. But there's things that are going on here. There are people that talk about it. You listen to it on the show. And then there's others like Ra, an awakening man, that get in the car and go. They video, they talk to people, they interview people, they get together, they're out, they're in the woods, they're in the mountains, and they're searching. And what did they see? What did they figure out? What did they discover? Well, we're going to talk about all of that tonight. But the point is, you should do the same thing. And I hope that this motivates you to go out. Come and hang out with us. We're out there all the time. Just go. Get in the car. Go to Crestone. Go to Roswell. Go to Joshua Tree. Go to Shasta. Go do something. It's all happening. Come out to the Mojave Desert. It's big. All right? All right. That's my motivational speech for the night. I am your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with Awakening Man. At the top of the hour, we're going to have Ra in here, and then we're going to ride out the show. It's going to be a great night, so stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Yeah, on the Game Changer Network and KJCR. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great week we've got coming up on Fade to Black. It's Road Trip Week. Tonight, Awakening Man and Ra join us. We're going to be talking about their recent UFO Bigfoot road trip. Tomorrow night, Billy Carson just got back from his road trip. He went to Egypt. Tomorrow night's show is called Halls of Amenti. Wednesday night, Todd Standing is here. Now, he's going to talk about his search for Bigfoot, which has been one long road trip. Yeah. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Tonight, it's Awakening Man and Arcturus Ra. And we're going to be talking about their recent road trip to Utah and beyond. What did they discover? What did they see? Did they make contact? Tonight, we're going to find out. Awakening Man has been on a lifelong journey to find answers to the UFO question and Bigfoot and all things unexplained. He travels the country to locations, shooting videos, conducting interviews with some of the most interesting people in our community. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Eric, Awakening Man. I'm sorry, Eric. I just did that to you, man. You had to listen to the show and delay. Welcome, man, for the first time.
Right on. I'm so jazzed, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to lay it all out there tonight, and I'm completely sober, so there will be no BS slung on Jimmy Church Fade to Black tonight.
All right. But you get the first-time guest disclaimer, Eric. You got to make it official.
All right.
It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. All right. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm stoked.
Okay. All right. So, let's start here. The road trip started in the bunker. And that's pretty cool, right? And we did our little mini road trip to kind of warm things up, and we went out there and did our thing. We talked about it on the show already, so we don't need to go and visit that. But it was pretty trippy for me that morning to walk you out to the van, and that's it. The van starts, and you pull out of the driveway, you wave, and it's like, I'll talk to you later. And I was like, man, I wish I could tag along on this one. You disclosed to me over the weekend that this was a 3-week trip. And I remember my reaction. I was like, what, 3 weeks? And you had a lot of planning. There's a lot of things that had to go down. Of course, back at your house, you've got to prepare for 3 weeks on the road. You've got a business that you run. And then you've got to plan all of this out. You were making stops. You had things. You were meeting up with people. I think you left my place for basically the Grand Canyon. That was like your first stop or thereabouts. We'll get into all of that. But then you went all the way up, turned around, and then came back. So what states did you visit?
Okay, so it started off in California, went to Arizona, then through Utah. I think we snuck through Wyoming for a minute, and then we went up to, well, Utah's massive. We were all over Utah. And then from Utah, we went to, this is like a week later, I eventually went through Idaho. Where else did I go? Montana, and back to Utah, then back to Idaho, which I'll tell that story later tonight because I was going to go to Washington State and meet up with Dr. Johnson, but he had to go out of town, so he gave me a rain check. So that'll be another trip that we'll get to talk about on another show, so hopefully. And then through Nevada and back to California. So I don't know, that's like 6 or 7 states, 3,500 miles.
Wow! And three weeks, or over 3 weeks.
It was about 20 days, if you want to.
Okay. So 20 days. That's a lot of traveling. Yeah. That's 3,000 miles. Wow. Okay. So let's. We're gonna have Ra in at the top of the hour. What was your first stop?
The first stop was Williams. That's where after I left your house, drove up to Williams. And
where's Williams?
Williams is right next to where you go into the Grand Canyon, right next to what's that little town up there? Jesus.
I'm not worried about that. What state?
Flagstaff, about 30 minutes from Flagstaff.
Okay, so it's Williams is in Arizona.
Yeah,
I got
right
you.
near the 64, which is 64 is about a half an hour drive up into the Grand Canyon. So that Williams is literally like 2 blocks away from that highway that you take into the Grand Canyon, which is beautiful.
And why did you stop in Williams?
Well, because I've been there before. It's a cool little town, and people like to party there. So I thought, I'm just going to go into this little bar there. I forget what it's called. It was funky little bar, and I'm hearing this music, and it was this AC/DC band that, and they were awesome. You saw the video. This guy that was playing the guitar, running around and jumping around, and I mean that was exciting. So that got my juices pumping. So that was the first night, and then and then the next day, what was cool though is originally it was just going to be Ra and myself. I have to throw this in there because, but somehow Sarah wanted to go.
Sarah being Sarah Adams.
Sarah Adams.
Okay.
And I thought that would be cool. I'm going to go along with that because I wanted to keep it just Ra and myself, but I was cool with Sarah because I knew if we brought Sarah that she was going to interpret everything that happened. We're going to get downloads. We're going to get insights and information. And it was just going to be like a running dialogue all the way there. And plus, she's a lot of fun to hang out with. She's super cool.
Okay.
And anyway, we're like the mod squad. So that was the plan.
Okay. So you guys meet up in Williams. You were driving 2 cars?
Actually, we all met up in the Grand Canyon. It was 3 cars. We all had our own car.
Okay.
And we did like the 3-hour trip around the rim of the Grand Canyon, stopped at every little pull out. And like I told you at your house, if you remember, I said, listen, I'm going to record every stop because I know that Sarah and Ra are going to have something to say about something that's happened in the past or in the future or whatever, some little download that they were going to get. So I recorded all these little downloads that Sarah and Ra were having. And tonight, when you get Ra on, you got to ask him about Christopher Walken, because he had a Christopher Walken download that I recorded, which if you heard it, you'd be rolling in laughter. He's a funny guy. Ra is a funny guy.
So 3 hours driving around the Grand Canyon to each lookout spot. That's pretty epic. Yeah, I haven't done that. Been to the Grand Canyon so many times, but the one thing about the Grand Canyon, for those that have never been there, you see it in pictures, and people try to capture its size in pictures. Until you are there, until you go and you step up and take you have no idea. It is a crazy thing to see, and it causes your heart to change its rate, your breathing. It is freaking big, man. It is unreal. I've flown over it many times, and when you fly over it and you're looking out the window, because the geography of the United States is very consistent, right? It doesn't matter if you're going over mountains or but then all of a sudden when you fly over, it's like this thing, and it's huge, and it breaks up everything. There's nothing like that anywhere in the United States. It is crazy. The world. It is amazing to see, isn't it?
It's awesome. I mean, it's like you said, though. All these pictures that I took in these videos. It's one thing to see the pictures and the videos, but when you're there, there's an experience that occurs. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but you internalize the whole thing, and it's like you get on a natural high when you're out there doing these things, and you're running on adrenaline, and it's the greatest thing. I mean, there's nothing more fun to me than going on a road trip, especially with people like Ron and Sarah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were there during the day?
Yeah, that was all day, and this was interesting because I could tell that Sarah was. I don't know that Sarah knew that the game plan was that when I do my road trips, whenever I want to stop, I stop, and if there's something I see or something that gets my curiosity, I'll pull over and I'll get out of the car and I'll go look at it. Whatever, it's not ridiculous like every 30 minutes, but I told Ra, I said, this is the deal, bro. We're going to be stopping at places, and I said, please don't try to rush me out of anything. I said, this is how I do my research. And so anyway, so Sarah's with us, and I could just tell that she was getting kind of tired and worn out from getting in and out of the car for 3 hours straight. And so the original plan was that we were going to camp. We're going to go to these spots and camp out. And Sarah's like, nah, well, can we just get an Airbnb and I'll pay for it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do the Airbnb thing. So we did the Airbnb thing 3 days in a row. And that took us 3 days to get up to Vernal, which. We can talk about that too, which was kind of fun.
Ladies need their granite countertops, man, and you don't have granite countertops in the Awakening van, So that's just the way it is. Ain't no granite countertops.
Sarah's not afraid to spend money, so whenever we went on the Airbnb thing, she would just find the best place. It wasn't about trying to save money. It was. If it cost $200 a night, we just split it 3 ways, which was no big deal. It's like, okay, let's do this, And we stayed in some great spots. And Moab is beautiful. There's
you went to Moab too.
Driving through the Valley of the Giants. I highly recommend anybody that ever gets a chance to travel through Utah, you must drive through the Valley of the Giants. It's the most epic rock structure, castle formations, and it's a dirt road, and you go through this dirt road for about 17 miles. Literally, you're off the grid. You've got no cell service, and you get to see things that you will not see anywhere else, and that was a thrill.
Okay, so it took you 3 days to get to your destination, which means you had 3 nights on the road. What did you guys see at night? Now, you've got all of your gear with you. You've got night vision, right? What else did you take with you?
That's pretty much it. The night vision, the binoculars. Ra had his monocular and recording device, so we were equipped. What was interesting though is we were so tired from driving and getting out and doing our thing during the daytime that when nighttime rolled around, it was just let's just eat dinner and we just went to bed. I mean, we didn't do any sky watching Monday or Tuesday night.
Okay.
The sky watching didn't start until the main event that we'll talk about.
Okay.
But yeah, no sky watching. We were just hanging out, telling stories, talking, and having fun, and that was a lot of fun, just hanging out with those guys and telling stories and things like that.
Let's start to get to the action then. The first stop. The first destination was Vernal.
That was the third night. You want to get right to the third night?
Well, did anything happen on the second night?
Well, no. One thing I will say that was an eye-opener for me is we drove through this Indian reservation. I think it was the Navajo, and one of the Airbnbs that we had was actually right next to an Indian reservation because I wanted to be kind of off the grid as much as possible so that if anything did go down, we'd have a good view of it without any light obstruction. And so we were driving through this neighborhood, and there's chain link fences all around this entire neighborhood in this little Indian, village, whatever. It was like a little track homes. And I thought to myself, why are all these, literally, I mean, the entire neighborhood, not just part of it, was fenced off with 6-foot tall chain link fence. And I thought, this must be like a really dangerous area, man. Why are we staying here? And then we asked some people that lived in town there, and the people there are so worried about someone coming into their neighborhood with COVID that they've literally chained them, blocked themselves in, and they've got those people so freaked out about COVID out there that they're not allowed to have get together. They can't have any. Sarah got really upset about all this. She got really emotional, and she's actually, I think she did a show about it. She's even making a donation because those people out there on the reservation, those Indian folks, they are not. They're having a tough time right now. That was the kind of an eye opener for that one day of traveling around and seeing that, and kind of we feel kind of lucky and privileged that we're getting to do what we do, but these people are stuck. They don't have any food out there. You could see their horses and their cattle are all skinny. It was sad. But anyway, I just want to mention that because it was sad. It was a tough run right through there.
Okay. And then, that is sad. I didn't know about that. So then the next night you arrive in Vernal, Utah.
Yeah. So this is where it was interesting because we had been driving all day, and we were just trying to get to Vernal. It's like if we didn't have any cell signal for about 2 or 3 hours driving through the mountains, so we couldn't go online and try to find a place to stay. We're just trying to get as close to Vernal as we could, and then pull over, and then decide what we're going to do. So we pull over. We're not quite in Vernal yet, and we're looking at the Airbnbs, and we find this one place way out there in this kind of a rancher's area where there's not really a lot of homes. It's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere in this flatland area. But it's got the view of all the mountains all around, and there's no light, and there's no street lights, and there's nobody that lives out there. I mean, the next neighbor is probably like 5 acres away.
Okay.
So we jumped on that place. So
what happened?
Go ahead.
What happened?
So we got there. We get there, and this is where I'm glad Sarah came, because had Sarah not come, we wouldn't have stayed there because we're going to camp. So I give credit to Sarah because what happened that night may not have happened otherwise. So we got there. We're cooking up hamburgers.
Right.
We're making dinner. It's not quite dark yet. It's 7:30, 8 o'clock. It's the sunset, but it's still a little bit of light out. And I just had this thought in my head where I'm just going to go out in this back porch and just kind of look around and just see what I see. So I walk out the back porch, I'm looking out in the sky, out in the mountains, over the field, and all of a sudden this isn't very far away. This is probably maybe 2 or 3 football fields away, hovering over the ground, maybe 10 or 20 feet, not very far. This light just pops on. And I thought, oh, here we go, I'm thinking in my head. And so I had my phone in my hand, like I always do, and I put my phone up to take a picture of it, and it just blinks off. And I thought, okay, this is legit here. This is really happening. This isn't just this is happening. And so I said, Ra, you got to come out here. You got to see this. There's lights already going on, popping off out here. And he didn't hear me. He was in there cooking up the hamburgers. So again, the light pops on again, and I'm looking at this thing, and again I try to take a picture of it, and again it goes off. So I says, okay, I got to go get Ra. He's got to see this. Somebody else has got to see this. I can't be the only one that's seen this. So I go in the house. I said, Raw, get your gear, get your night vision, get your cameras, put the hamburger down. I said, the lights are coming on and off out here. You need to see this. We need to film this. Come on now. So he hustles it up. He goes out there. We're in the back. As we're going out the back door, back out to the back patio again. This time I've got my phone on. I've got the camera mode on. I have my finger on the button to push photo so I can click the picture. And as soon as we come around the corner, there's the light again, and boom, I snapped a picture of it. And I posted that picture, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or whatever that night. It was on the 9th, is what it was, of September. And that was a pretty trippy object. It didn't look like a saucer. Didn't look like a triangle. It had this kind of strange shape to it. But it was there, and we saw it, and he saw it. And then I went over and flicked it over to video mode because I wanted to try to record it, and then it turned off again. So Raw set up his gear, and we're all set up, and a lot happened at that point. I mean, you want to ask any questions?
I'm listening to you. We're going to run into the commercial break. So what happened next?
We got plenty. Okay, so the next thing. So we're looking out in that area where that light kept popping on and off, and nothing's happening there anymore. Now all of a sudden we're seeing lights over the mountains, which is in the direction of where the Blind Frog Ranch is in La Pointe, Utah, which is, I would say it was about probably close to 8 to 10 miles away, but it was a clear night. You can clearly see the mountains. You can see the form of the mountains, the shape of the mountains. And this light, you would see beyond the mountain, you would see this light like coming up. You wouldn't actually see the light, but you could see the glow of the light coming up, and then all of a sudden it would pop up, and there it would be just hovering in that area. And this time these things were not going off; they were just staying lit. And so Raw's filming this. I'm filming it. I'm taking pictures, and we're like getting excited because we know now that this is okay. The show's on. So we're looking at this thing, and this kept happening. This must have happened for 10 or 15 minutes. Then to the left, there was like these two little mounds, like right and left. So most of this was happening in this little right mound area. And then all of a sudden, this left mound area, here comes this other light popping up over the mountains, just like the one on the right side. And now this thing's just kind of hovering up there. And then this really tripped me out because then all of a sudden I see what looked like 3 lights in a row, side by side, coming from the left to the right towards this light. And then it gets pretty close to it, and then it just stops. So you've got this main light just lit up, and you've got these 3 lights sitting there just kind of, it looked like it was checking out the big light. And then it just kind of slowly moves past the big light, stops as it goes beyond it, then reverses itself, and then takes off, and then it's gone.
Wow.
So now that blew my mind actually, because that was like, whatever that was, I have no idea what that was because that didn't make any sense. It just didn't add up in my head. So now this light's still there. It's still on. It's never gone off. It's never moved. It's just sitting there. And then to the right of the light, this little red light. So if the big light, imagine like the size of a quarter, and then this little red light that was maybe half the size of a dime just pops on right next to it on the right-hand side. And I'm going, and then in my videos, you'll hear me. I use some words that I won't say on your show. But anyway, I'm like, oh, here we go. And so then that red light goes off. And then on the left side of the light, the main light, it pops back on. So it's on the right side. Now it's on the left side. And I filmed all that. So I've got that on video. So that's what happened. So that was all going on. For probably 20, 30 minutes, we're seeing all sorts of little strange things happening. We're excited. And then we're looking out to the left, far, far left now, away from the main mountains. There's a whole other set of mountains to the left. And Ross spots this triangle-shaped light. And I've got my brand new Samsung Galaxy S21, 100 times zoom. I zoom in on this thing. I go, wow, that is a freaking triangle, man. This thing it's lit up. And it's kind of, it's not going off and on, but it's kind of pulsating. And you saw it on the video, but this thing's pulsating. And Raw filmed this thing on his binocular, I don't know, for at least 2 or 3 minutes. I filmed it for at least a minute and a half. You could see these other triangle-looking, more softer, dimmer lights closer to the mountain. The main triangle was way above the mountain. So I don't know what that thing was. I couldn't tell you, but I've never seen anything like that before. That was a first for me, seeing those lights. So at that point, we were psyched. I mean, we're stoked. The first night we're there, we're already having like major sightings. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I know where this is. I see it. I can go on Google Earth. I could find out what mountain that is. I can find out if there's any airports or whatever kind of businesses or whatever might be over there. I can research that. And so that's what I did the next day when I woke up. I did some research and I saw where that was. And ironically, where that triangle light was pulsating was on the same road that you drive onto to go out to the Blind Frog Ranch. We didn't know that night, but that's what I figured out later, is that's how we're going to, because Blind Frog Ranch isn't actually in Vernal. It's in this town called La Pointe, which is next to Vernal, but it's much more deeper into the mountainous wooded area. It's way off the grid, as opposed to Vernal is a neat little town. So anyway, the next day, I don't know if it was the next day or it might have been the,
well, let me.
Yeah, it was the next day.
Well, hold on. Let me jump in because I got to get to a break, and then we're going to bring Ra in. But what I wanted to ask you, to be clear, Ra's filming, you're filming. You've got multiple sources on this triangle, and so was it a triangle in his video and a triangle in yours?
Absolutely.
Now, was it a triangle with the naked eye?
I would say I could see the object with the naked eye. As you know, I don't have the greatest vision, but I couldn't make out the shape of it because it had to be at least 10 miles. That mountain range.
Okay,
I'm going to guess it could have been more or less 10 miles away. So yeah, I mean, I've got the 5x zoom on my night vision. Ra's got the zoom on his monocular. I mean, we were able to zoom right in on that thing. I mean, almost like as if it was just a few hundred yards away. That's how close we were able to zoom in on it.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, let's take our break right here. When we come back after this break, Ra is going to join us. Tonight it is Awakening Man and Ra. We are discussing their recent road trip to Utah and beyond. So you just stay right there. It's going to be a great night tonight on the show. Lots of things happened. Eric's been posting stuff for the last 2 weeks. Okay, Rod just texted me, said he's ready to go. I'll be right back. This is Fade to Black.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network. KGRADB.com.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We're also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers, and you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, it's road trip week. Tonight, it's road trip number 1. Awakening Man, Eric, and Arcturus Ra join us tonight. And we just heard from Eric. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Arcturus Ra. And I'm going to say a few things about Ra. He's awakened to his purpose. He shares his personal activation or remembrance of being an Arcturian scientist and Starfleet commander. He shares his knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, how to biohack yourself into seeing other dimensions, where we go at night and where we sleep. And I've got some Ra hardware here. I was going to break it out. I'll do it in a bit. I want to welcome back to Fade to Black, Arcturus Ra. Ra, how you doing tonight, my man?
I'm excellent. Can you hear me? Everything clear?
Yeah, you look fantastic. That's that's what's most important, right?
Well, yeah. Looks is everything in this galaxy.
Absolutely. And we've got Eric Awakening Man with us too as well. And I want to jump ahead, Ra, on this trip. Eric was just telling us about that first night at the Airbnb when you were trying to cook hamburgers, and he pulled you out of the house and said there's some stuff jumping off, and you got your gear out, and you guys are filming this action above the mountain to your right, and that's pretty amazing. I can't wait to see these videos. Once those are put together. And then he was telling us that you guys swung everything over to the left And that's where you guys saw these triangles, one main triangle, and you caught this on video. I've seen the video. I wanted to ask you about that for a second. What were you thinking? And did you see, was the triangle a triangle to the naked eye, or was this only in the night vision?
So Eric said that he could see a triangle with the naked eye. I think that's what we saw with the naked eye, a triangle. It was faint, but then with the night vision device enhanced, it was a triangle pointing somewhat in the direction sky and hovering over Vernal, over the city. I'm like, that nobody else could see this. It was this brightest day. It would flare up, it would flash, it would move, it would disappear, it would reappear. And we have prime recordings with like $6,000 night vision device, like not some okey doke stuff, really prime 4K recording with the iPhone from these things are vacuum tubes, very precise. So the direction where the sightings came in, and props to Eric for that, he caught it first. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's a light, it's a star, because, it's like, I want to be, I'm a paranormal experience, but I'm skeptic still. So the direction we would look at from Vernal was, if people Google map, that is the Flaming Gorge. The Flaming Gorge. And that is not the direction Blind Frog Ranch or Skinwalker. It's a little bit more to the right over the map. And then you would see those in mid-sky. I'm not talking orbit. I'm talking past the line of the rock. They would come. And what blew me away, and you'll see the video when I upload the next show that I'm working on, is going to be just those videos where you would see, let's say, a 20,000 watt floodlight, like for stadiums. And I thought that's hovering behind the mountain. Mm-hmm. So you would see a light beam behind the mountain. I'm thinking like maybe it's a construction site, and then you would think it's stationary. But that thing moved 5 miles across in 2 seconds, not going over the mountain. And I kept deadpanning it. And Eric was like, keep holding. So I kept the camera running. And that flash, that floodlight from behind the mountain went uncovered as the craft went over the mountain range, which you can clearly see. You see the mountain line in the video, and then the thing stops in mid-sky. A second one appears and a third one, and it's a freaking light show. And we have several minutes of that action where no one else in Vernal seemed to be recording this. So I'm like, that's really amazing. Like really very mind-blowing fireworks.
Now, we've got a limited time with you tonight, but I may keep you longer if I can't get all of this in, because you and Eric and Sarah,
yes.
You guys went to Blind Frog Ranch. Did you go to Blind Frog Ranch the next day?
The next day we camped up there. Yeah,
you went to, okay. So I'm so into, like everybody is right now. It's all about Blind Frog Ranch.
Oh my God!
Yeah, right.
Oh my God! I'm telling you, go there.
Yeah, well,
there's stuff that you can't even describe.
Yeah. Now I'm getting phone calls from you guys while you were there, and I wish I was there. But take us to that. What was Blind Frog Ranch like? What were you expecting?
For me, I kept myself open to expect everything because I've been to Mount Shasta. I know paranormal areas when the grounds are highly magnetic, the ions are off the chart, and the photons. This is the three things you have to watch in those places where something is emanating from the ground. Nobody knows what it is. That has everything spinning, compasses. I flew my drone through the property, and my drone kept informing me magnetic interference, error, check your app, all over the property, and the magnetics were elevated. So sleeping there, if you're not strong, I don't recommend it because it just keeps you up. You just blitz. You need like 4 hours of sleep, and you don't know what to do with your time unless you know how to explore paranormal property. So that place and the lake with its healing powers, where they dug the well, people don't know, watch the show, the Blind Frog Ranch show. You see that it has healing capacities. I had a punctured, you can say, sciatica, so very painful. 10 minutes sitting in that thing, and that pain disappeared. Not 100%, but the massive pain disappeared. And every day we were longer on the property, you feel disoriented. Your brain is kind of like swimmy, you feel all over the place. But that is because of that place. Our friend Jeff, who was with us, his battery went basically dead. It got discharged. Mine went 50% less. But I have tricks to avoid you from being affected from that dimension. So I have gadgets you can attach to stuff when you go into paranormal devices. Sarah got knocked out, like a big up and respect to Sarah Adams. She had immediately contact with ETs and Grace, went into the astral realm. So she had to basically lay down and leave her body. First, I thought she was sick, but she was like, I got to lay down. There's something going on. So she laid down. There was a cosmic battle, apparently, that we are in the midst of, and she tapped into it, establishing communication, while Eric and I kind of surveyed the land and measured the physical effects of what's actually happening to us, what's going on here, what are we experiencing, and how do you make that explainable?
Right. And Eric, listening to this, this was your first trip to Blind Frog Ranch, too, as well. And I think they delayed History Channel or Discovery, one of the networks, was there filming, and then
Discovery.
Is Discovery Channel? And
Discovery Channel.
And so they weren't filming when you were there, but their setup was there, right? They had their base camp, right, Eric?
Yeah, and that we actually I don't know if luck is the right word, but the stars were aligned because somebody apparently had gotten sick in the film crew, and they were concerned about the COVID, so they shut down production. Had that not happened, we would not have been able to stay there for 3 days because they had tight security there. Even the security guys that were there that got to know us and we chatted with, I mean, they watched us. They watched us. And the other thing I wanted to mention about Ra is when he was talking about the magnetics, he has this device, I don't know what it's called, but he was measuring the magnetics. And I even recorded it and took pictures and video of the machine as it was fluctuating. So this is not just Ra making stuff up. There really is some fluctuations in the energy there. And there was a few times where we were hiking at the very peak of the mountain where I would be up there and just feel fine. And then I would step over about 4 or 5 feet into this one area. And all of a sudden I was dizzy and felt woozy, and I had to stop, and I lost my breath. It was weird. Go ahead, Rob, but I just want to throw that in.
Okay, so you guys were able to camp. You guys camped at Blind Frog, right, Rob?
Yes, exactly. Like we slept at Blind Frog, which was very intense for me. I don't know how Eric felt. Explain that in detail. We didn't speak about it on the way back because he continued his trip. But it was very intense dreams, vivid dreams, lucid dreams. I heard a big voice screaming at me in a language that I don't even know how to begin to translate. But there's a lot of stuff moving about at night that must be interdimensional that you can't physically see. But you, even if you're a skeptic, I'm telling you, you will feel something. There's something happening that your senses are not enough to detect in detail what's all the things that are going on.
Right. This is fascinating to me. What happened? You guys broke out the gear. You're at Blind Frog at night. This isn't too far from where you guys filmed the triangles the night before.
Yeah.
This is all around Vernal. What happened that night in the skies?
So the first night was strangest thing is, I'm able to capture stuff, and if it's a plane, just to see something in the night sky. But the first night we went there, I psychically got the impulse shut down. There's nothing going on, like zero, as if the entire sky is on embargo lockdown control, and nothing happened the first night. Like not.
Okay, so Eric,
we scanned the sky for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was strange. Let me say real quick. We climbed to the highest peak on that mountain at the Blind Frog, and we were both pretty confident that where we were filming those lights the night before from the Airbnb, we knew the valley that those lights were emerging from, in my opinion.
Right.
And we were focused on that area, trying to see if we would see those lights again, and not a peep.
Nothing. That's strange.
Nothing.
Yeah. That's strange.
Air.
And okay, so you get through the night then, and the next day, was there a feeling? Was Dwayne there?
Yeah, Do you want to tell Ra about the driving over the river and him showing us the structures? Ra, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Dwayne basically got us in halfway up with my SUV. I got stuck in a rain trench, and Dwayne pulled me up. I was with two wheels in the air. I think Eric has pictures. It looks hilarious. Sarah was like, I'm getting out the car. This is too much, because it looked like a rollover. I'm like, if this is rolling over, then it's not going to be good. So, but we tackled the situation, and then Dwayne drove up to us, which I would call an ET marker. And an ET marker is like, imagine that the ETs, and these are the downloads that I've been receiving, and even prior to the visit, that ETs have crafts. In ancient times, they would terraform to mark spots. Either there were a lot of minerals or a meteor. There's reasons where certain crafts would dock. They have their reasons. And this ET marker, I looked at it and I'm like, this is not a natural formation. Like, if you really have a keen eye and you look at the thing, you look at the rock and you walk to the side, and from the side with the sun at the right angle, and even your camera's face detection would detect the face, you see a sleeping ET, like dormant in the rock, or dormant ET technology underground. How deep? How far? I don't know, but this is a marker for when a craft comes, and let's say you have a computer that can map the landscape, it's easy to find that. But for the untrained eye and people who walk through the desert, you're just seeing another rock with a few caves. But this was the place where Eric walked on top, and there were spots where you would really get dizzy, very intense and disoriented and feel weird, and then you walk a few steps further and then you're clear, and nobody can explain that. Well, I say that because it's interdimensional. And if you have the sight and the sensory perception, you know that this is an extraterrestrial marker terraformed maybe millions of years ago to remind you, whatever survey crew that's coming back to check that they will find that place again. That's like the download that I received.
Very interesting. Eric, did you get the same vibe?
Yeah, well, even before that, when we drove in, there's this little river that you got to cross over. And as we crossed over, then we were in this quad, four-wheel drive quad unit that I actually was lucky because I was ready to take my van over this river and just go up the mountain like Ra did. And he told me 3 times, I don't think you should do that. Dwayne was telling me, I don't think that's a good idea. And finally I said, okay, I'll leave the van here. So I hopped in the quad. And I put the video on and I recorded the whole thing, and we were having a conversation. I've got all that on video. I'm not allowed to release that because he's got the contract with the Discovery Channel. So this is stuff maybe after the Discovery Channel's done with their show, this particular series, and maybe I could put some of that stuff out. But anyway, so we pull over to this area, and lo and behold, he says, look at this here, and it's these tree structures that we're going to talk a lot about tonight. At least I'm going to talk about the Bigfoot tree structures, and they're all intertwined, and you've got these pieces of logs and wood that are kind of broken, and you just know it didn't fall that way, and there's no humans that are up there, playing tree structure games. I mean, this looked to me like what I've seen in my own research as a Bigfoot structure. We saw 2 of these structures while we're there.
Well, when you say structure, okay, Eric, let me stop you there. Let me swing this over to Ra. When Eric says a tree structure, what did you see, Ra? Eric will see whatever he wants to see. Right? but Ra,
what I like about Eric is a skeptic. He's like, you wanna BS him? He's like, come on, man. Like he's gonna investigate and he's gonna go in. So the structure that we saw, and when people tell me man-made, then I laugh. What we saw was literally trees at the size of, I don't know, 2 or 3 times your body in width, ripped from the stump, broken off, and then logged in a bush with some heavy tree arrangement placed over not like some are like teepees, but what we saw was like wild, just a pile of big ass trees that somebody snapped like toothpicks, and you have to be 600 or 700 pounds and have to have a size to do that.
Right.
Because when the wind blows, you cannot tell me that 6 trees from every angle fall in an intersection that creates something that looks like a construct that you find nowhere in the forest. Nowhere. We found more of those after, and I didn't even know that Bigfoot would bleed so much into UFO territory. Like,
right.
Get away from, once you're in UFO territory, you're in Bigfoot territory. It goes hand in hand.
Now,
so no question
I
that
agree.
this was a structure created by something that wasn't human.
And what do you think?
Absolutely.
What do you think this structure is for? I mean, is it a habitat?
So here's
No.
a few things for the Squatchers that we learned. These are markers for territory, but I believe they're not only markers in the woods. I believe these are interdimensional markers because these dudes go between two worlds. They have we have stories like they go from one forest to another, but they have to be markers, so they have the orientation. Am I on Earth 2 or am I on Earth 1? That's what I'm getting.
Sure.
You want to investigate? Get a book that's called Dweller of Two Planets that explains how that works. That book was channeled in 1846, I think. So these are markers that show you our territory. There are all X's that will tell you stay out. And the pro told us what I kept putting together over the years, but I never spoke about it, is when they're cloaked and the eyes are red, they're pissed at you. You're pissing them off. When the eyes are amber, they're scanning your intent, your aura, your soul, your purity, and how light-spirited you are.
So amber,
And when they're white,
They are
they're,
peace
and when
with
they're
you and they
white, they're
accept
cool
you.
with you.
yeah, that was my next question. So white is everything is fine.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
They're fine. We're
Well,
cool with you.
amber would be cool too, right? You're just being checked out.
Yeah.
Red,
Yeah,
red,
checking you out. Yeah, you trying to shoot us, you're trying to kill us, or you're trying to make contact and observe and be friendly. They're checking you
right.
out, you know?
Yeah, red. You
Yeah.
get in the car and you drive back to the Airbnb and watch Netflix.
Yes.
Got it. Now, how many of these?
That's the rule. That's
a good rule. That's a good rule. It's kind of like red light, green light. You know, the game that you played when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Right. So, how many of these structures? Okay, did you guys find or hear or see Bigfoot while you guys were at Blind Frog?
So I must say something and then let Eric chime in. We heard Bigfoot and sensed him at the end of my trip before Eric went further from Vernal to Montana. So the last day we went up to a place where a professional who had a relationship for the years with them, who had physical
Don't tell too
contact,
much of that
had a
story yet,
concussion,
Rod.
physically
Don't tell too much.
approached by a female that healed him. He showed us the territory. So we saw a lot more of those structures, deep in the birch woods of Ashley Park, a national park of Utah, Vernal.
Now, what did Eric? What did you guys hear?
Well, are we still on the Blind Frog? Because I personally didn't hear any Bigfoot type sounds at the Blind Frog. Ra might have, but I didn't. But we did see. We saw two structures that, to me, looked like they would be Bigfoot structures. And then Ra had his what is that thing? The drone thing he was flying around. And so I was hiking around while he was droning, filming all this stuff, and I found another structure on the side of this cave, which I've got pictures of. And I don't know if that was a Bigfoot structure or not, but it was odd. The place is, you know what? The place is cool. I'll tell you what, it would be a lot harder to sneak into Blind Frog than it would be to sneak into Skinwalker, and we'll talk about that later on in this conversation. But you're not going to sneak into Blind Frog. But if you can get an invite there and camp there, it's a thrill because you just feel the energy. I mean, the view. You're like in your own little dimension, your own world, you can create your own reality. It was just a lot of fun. And Ra was the perfect guy to be there with because neither one of us were afraid. We were just open to whatever was going to happen.
Okay, before I run out of time here, Ra, what you said? Nothing. The skies were empty the first night. Did you guys see anything in the sky the second night?
Let me
before you say that, Ra, let me just introduce this real quick thought.
Eric,
there's a lady.
Eric.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ra. Ra, what did you see the second night?
So basically, the second night and the third night, we captured objects traversing the sky, and also for cross-referencing, when you see those objects, if it's blinking, it's usually ours. If it's not blinking, it's to be questioned. If a satellite comes in, because I spoke to astronomers and professionals, how do you view that? Satellites fade in, they're linear, and they fade out. What I filmed was lit as bright as day, no fading in, no fading out, staying lit, high altitude, probably out of orbit, super fast, and you can use a satellite tracking app. And just to make sure, you can use several satellite tracking apps, and it said clear sky, nothing is in the sky. Why am I filming something as bright as a football stadium going across the sky? And some of it even made maneuvers where, satellites do not have batteries for floodlights. They don't. Yeah, they have little cells for little adjustments, but they don't have that kind of power that you would see the light from Earth in the sky. So when you see something as lit as a freaking firecracker, well, I believe it's not ours.
And Eric, did you see the same
clear
things?
Sky,
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy, if you and I together, we've talked about this before. I mean, when you see something that is not a satellite or a plane or a helicopter, and you've seen it multiple times, and then you see it again, you just know right away that you're seeing something completely unusual. This is not man-made, and that was the feeling that I got with what we were seeing. But what was interesting is there was a lady named Annie who came in from the Draper, Utah area, who I've interviewed before, who's an ET experiencer, and her friend, who's also an ET experiencer. They came out there with us that second night. And I don't know that it was because they were there, but they had a lot of ET energy, and she has 2010 vision, and she was spotting these things in the sky, looking up into the sky, all over the place. And I'm just looking through my zoom lens. I'm only able to see a portion of the sky, scanning, but she would say, okay, there's another one right there. And then we would flip over, and there it was. And we'd follow and track that. And, you get two of them coming side by side, and then another one coming from another angle, and they cross each other. And it's like, okay, this is legit here. This is not satellites. This is something supernatural is happening here. That was my take.
Incredible. Ra, I want to say to everybody out there, this is my Ra pendant that I wear during the day. I'm all jacked up on coffee. I'm working. My adrenaline, and this is how I calm down. Ra, this thing is amazing, and you can go to.
Well, thank you that you're feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ra's website, ra-key.com. The links are at jimmychurchradio.com. Click and go visit his website. And he's got a lot of other information over there, too, as well. Ra, you are the very best. Thank you so much, my friend. And I've got to get you back on the show where we can just sit and talk for a couple of hours without Eric. Okay? Ra.
Well, hold on.
But you can also bring Sarah back.
Eric, there is
what happened there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. There is no timeout when there is a commercial break coming up, and which we're going to do that now. Ra, behave and be well, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Arcturus Ra, and his website is right there, jimmychurchradio.com. I got to take a break. More with Eric, Awakening Man, when we come back. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Badernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Awakening Man. I want to thank Ra for coming in. Ra's strong. Ra is strong. Nobody mentioned I got my hair cut. I cut off like a foot of hair, and nobody said a thing. I am just upset about that. I did it for you. I did it for you. I want to be fashion forward and conscious about my hairstyle, and I spent so much time with my hair person, and I was just like, man, this is for the video feed. I just want to make sure that I look my best for the Fader Knots. She's like, oh, you're gonna look great. And I mean, hours it took. Nobody said a thing. I am just upset. Which Spice Girl can still get petrol? Jerry can. That's good. Nobody mentioned my hair. Totally upset. Eric, you saw how long my hair was, right? You
look like a hippie.
Yeah, man. I cut off a foot. Look how short it is. And nobody said a thing. All right. Ra is amazing. And this pendant, I'm just going to say this. It's one of those things, and he describes the science and what is inside of this and how it's designed and everything, right over my head. But it calms you down. It's like immediate. And so when I'm getting those jitters, I put that pendant on. It's amazing. I wear it during the day. If I wore that at night, I'd never wake up. I'd sleep all day. Oh, man. Okay, so you and Ra and Sarah, you guys part ways, right? He heads back to with Sarah back to Sedona.
She left first, and then I think Ra kind of not an hour or two or three later left. But before
the same day. The same day, but.
Pardon?
The same day, yeah. But this is the other thing. So there is a paranormal conference that is going on in Vernal, and the Skinwalker guys are there. I'm not going to discuss the conference unless you want to. Right. It's not my point. but you head out to Skinwalker to go to the gates, right? Did you camp there too as well? Did you stay all night?
Yeah, we did. And before we moved into that, I just want to briefly mention that we used the night vision Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The conference ended Saturday. And that, just so you know, after Friday night, that was the last time the night vision ever came out of that box. From this point forward, it was all Bigfoot.
Okay. So you guys,
and one more thing is that there was lights flashing, and you remember when we were in the McCloud out there 3 or 4 years ago out there near Shasta during that one conference, and we were seeing those things power up and kind of flash in the sky. Well, that's exactly what was happening out there in Vernal above the Blind Frog Ranch. And I've already told the story, but many listening haven't heard it. But these things were flashing, but they weren't going off. They would just brighten up really bright, and then they would power back down to like a normal bright. And so that, I mean, I had my fill at that point. And now it was like, okay, I want to say that. So I was at the conference. I met this guy named Brad. We're going to talk about this because this guy is a key figure in this whole thing. And so Saturday we're there, and in strolls George Knapp. And I forget how it came about where I talked to him briefly. And he was talking to somebody about the triangle. He mentioned that, somebody here just filmed a triangle a few days ago. And I says, yeah, that was me. He goes, I want to talk to you. And anyway, so in the meantime, there's this guy named Brad, who's a local, lived there for 58 years in Vernal. He's been experiencing the Bigfoot since he's 4 years old. He was outside by his truck having a cigarette in the parking lot. I was walking out to my van to get some food or whatever it was I was doing. And he's standing out there, and I just thought, my intuition is if I see somebody that look interesting, I've been observing this guy at the conference for a few days. He's not really talking to anybody, but he's paying attention.
Yes.
I was curious what this guy's story was, so I asked him. I said, so what's going on? What do you think about all this? And then so we went right into this Bigfoot conversation at that point. And so we're chatting, and then I guess we hit it off pretty quickly. He goes into his truck, pulls out this photo album that was like the size of about 4 inches thick. And he starts flipping through it and showing me these pictures of the Bigfoot structures and all these Bigfoot things and so on and so forth. And he's telling me this story, and my mouth is like hanging on the ground. I'm like, oh my God. I said, can I take pictures of these? Can I have a copy? Can I show my friends? So no one's going to believe me, please. He's like, yeah, go ahead. And then, so long story short, so he says, I said, where are these things? He goes, right up here, right up at the Ashley Forest. It's about a half an hour from here. I go, is there any chance I could get you to drive us up there? We'll follow you and myself and Ra and my friend Jeff. And there was 2 other guys that were kind of into this whole Bigfoot thing that were kind of hanging around us at the same time. So 5 of us was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember. I think it was
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To the point.
So we all get out, we all follow this guy. We meet at this place, this location. We all follow this guy, up this road. I forget what road it was, but we're driving up this road. We get up to the Ashley Forest. We just truck it in there, and I'm thinking, man, this is kind of trippy. This is a cool forest. It's beautiful, but these are like birch trees, or they're not that thick. It's not like the redwoods or these massive pine trees that are 120 feet tall that I saw in Montana. These are not, this is a thick forest, but not a huge, tall forest. So I'm trying to visualize, how could the Bigfoot be here and not be seen and so on and so forth. So I was a little skeptical driving in, but I was going to have an open mind. So we get out of the vehicles, we pull over, and this guy says, okay, follow me. So we start following this guy into the forest, and I'm recording the whole thing. And he takes us to these tree structures. Now, these tree structures, on a scale from 1 to 10, they were 10s. I mean, they were amazing tree structures. You've got trees that are woven together, pinned up in the tree. You got one tree pushed into the ground, another tree bent over the top of that, and then another tree woven in through that one. And it's like, there's just no way that this was done by some just restless, forest guys. I mean, this is not something campers do. They don't make these tree structures. So as we're walking through this literally happened in the first 5 minutes we were there. We're walking through the forest. We're all kind of together, but separated by maybe 20 yards. Anyway, all of a sudden, and Ra's next to me, and this guy Jeff that was with us. They're right in the same vicinity I'm in, and then all of a sudden, I hear this, "Whoa," and it was clear. And I was recording, and I'm thinking, God, I just pray that the microphone picked that up. I go, did you guys hear that? Ross says, yes, I heard it. Jeff heard it. We all heard it. Fortunately, I was able to get it recorded. You can't hear it real well, but you can hear it on the recording. So we're walking around and we're just finding all these tree structures. I mean, there's literally, we must have run into at least 7 or 8 different tree structures in this forest in the hour that we're just kind of, and at one point we're in there and me and this guy, Jeff, we're kind of went out on our own little area. And we stop, and I'm going, well, where are we parked? How do we even get out of here? I says, I could see how somebody can get lost in here because I didn't even really know where we were. I was getting a little nervous, so I started yelling out, hey, where are you guys at? And we're over here. And so we start walking. And Ra had just he'd kind of gotten tired, I guess. So he went back to his truck, and he was taking a nap in the back of his truck. So we walk up, and we see him back there. And I go, Rod, you all right? He goes, yeah, I just got a little tired. Just want to take a little rest. And he goes, wait till you hear what I recorded. And so Ra apparently was hearing the same kind of sounds that I recorded, but even better, higher quality sounds that were longer, like kind of a growly, roughly. It was a weird sound, but look, here's what's weird, Jimmy. The sound sounded as if it was pretty close. So it sounded like it was so close that we should have seen it. Whatever it was, I should have been able to scan the area and look and seen what it was that was making the sound. But we couldn't see anything.
Wow.
And so the same thing happened to Ra. When he recorded these sounds, he said he was looking around and he thought that this thing had to be pretty close, but he couldn't see it. So what kicked into my head is, I wonder if these things are either they're cloaking or or maybe does sound travel through another dimension? I mean, maybe they're in some other dimension and they're projecting the sound into our dimension. I don't know. I'm speculating right now, but it was weird. It was just really, but it was evidence to me because I mean, this was not a joke that was being played on us. These sounds were real. These tree structures were real. So I was excited. Now I'm getting really excited about Bigfoot now because now I know that, okay, here's a spot that I can go and I can camp out at and potentially have another experience, maybe more positive than the one I had in Happy Jack. So about an hour and a half went by.
Right.
This guy says, okay, the party's over. The Bigfoot, they thank you guys for coming out. Whatever his little spiel was to us, you guys, they're moving on now. They got whatever. They got other things to do. In other words, whatever we were experiencing, it ended. And so I said, okay, guys, let's hop in the vehicles. Follow me. We're going to drive deeper into the forest. We're going to take this Forest Service road. I want to explore further. I want to go deeper. I want to see what else might be out there. See what other experiences we might have by ourselves without this other group of guys that were locals.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're driving down this road for about 10 minutes. And I'm seeing these structures in the woods as we're driving along. And I'm thinking, and I saw this one tree that looked about as easily as big around as my thigh that was about 8 feet up that had just been snapped. It was still hanging, dangling, but this tree was snapped. It wasn't cut down. Nothing fell on it. So that they call that a tree break. And so I was pretty pumped. I'm going, okay, there might be some stuff out here. So I pulled over and I'm walking around the perimeter of this area. And then we came across this other tree structure that was like a no doubt about it. This was a no doubt about it. I mean, these particular trees were thick. They weren't in the ground. They were just traversed left to right, like parallel. And then you had vertical going left, vertical going right, like an X structure. And then you had these skinnier birch trees kind of woven between them. I've got pictures of all this. So I believe that what this guy was telling us, this is a Bigfoot area. I believe that. I think I saw enough evidence to believe that. And then, one more thing I forgot to mention is that just before he left, he told us this story. And when he told me this story, at first I thought, okay, this guy's trying to just hype this up a little bit. I'm not so sure I buy this story, but whatever, maybe he's telling the truth. I don't know. But he said that there was a time a few years back, he was at the bar or whatever, and somebody had popped him in the nose, and it broke his nose or whatever. So he was injured, And for whatever reason, he told us that he decided to drive up to this area, and he says that he has habituation. He commingles with these Bigfoot. There's 4 of them that he knows up there, and he says that he's seen as many as 15 or 20 in one camping trip. And this particular time where his nose is all smashed up or whatever, he went up there. He claims that the female Sasquatch that he commingles with came out in her physical form and healed him.
Okay.
that was heavy. And
when you say
he was a no BS kind of guy. He just didn't have that kind of personality.
Eric, when you say he's commingling with the female Bigfoot, what are you saying?
Well, okay, not in a physical way, but he communicates with them. He sees them. These things are appearing in their physical form. It's not like he's having some sort of thought interaction with some invisible force. He's saying that he actually sees these things. They show themselves to him.
I have a friend that's listening to the show right now, Lisa, and she just said that she's getting inspired to write a romance novel while listening to this show. So I thought that we could just take this to the next level. And okay, so let's take that part out. Skinwalker. So
that's the next.
Okay, so you guys go out to. You guys don't go to Skinwalker. You guys go to the entrance to Skinwalker and camp. Right? Is that what happened?
No, we don't go to the entrance. This guy, Jeff, who lives in Draper, friend of mine who's also a researcher, he knows a guy that owns a property adjacent to the Skinwalker Ranch. Now, when you get on this property, you're kind of elevated. You can actually see down onto the Skinwalker Ranch. You can see their buildings. You can see where their tower is.
Right.
You can even see the entrance.
Okay.
So I would say this was probably about a half a mile away from eyesight. We can all see all this with the binoculars, with the clear eyes, with the night vision. I mean, you can see it all.
Okay, so you camp out there above Skinwalker.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. What happened?
Well, nothing really to brag about. I can tell you. I mean, we saw a few lights that were strange. I'm not going to hang my hat on it and say that these were nothing as impressive as the lights we saw at in Vernal during the first night and also at the Blind Frog. But there were some strange things, but they were probably explainable, possibly. But nothing so odd that it was like a no doubt about it kind of deal. But what was interesting to me is that. This was on the backside of where Skinwalker is. I don't even know that I couldn't find that road. If you told me let's go there, Eric, I don't know that we can get in my vehicle and I could find that road because we went through all these turns to get out there. But what I'm trying to say is that it wouldn't. I'm just going to say it. I did technically sneak onto the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, you did. Okay.
There's a fence there. There's a barbed wire fence there that goes all the way around the perimeter. It goes down into this little gully where there's a little creek. And I wasn't the first one that thought to do this, by the way, because there's the wire was bent and all pushed down. So all I had to do was duck down and climb underneath the wire. And so I walked onto the Skinwalker Ranch a little ways, but for me to get to the area where all the action was happening, I would have had to walk probably 2 football fields, and I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want to take that chance, but I could have. I don't know if I would. I didn't want to get in trouble because the guy that was letting us hang out on his property, he was cool to let us do that, so I wasn't going to push it. But I was tempted.
So the team from Skinwalker was at the conference. Did they reveal anything? Was there any breaking news coming out of Skinwalker?
I got to tell you, I like the show. I think the guys that are in the show are very intelligent people, very educated people. That's the kind of show it is. But when you listen to them all get on a panel and talk about it, it just feels like the information's being controlled. That's how it felt to me. It's like maybe I'm going to say this. I think these guys know things. I think they've seen things. But I also know because of their scientific mindset that because they can't explain it, they won't even talk about it. They won't even introduce possibilities or hypotheticals. They avoid that conversation. They'll tell you what they see, what their devices tell them, but they're not going to go into the woo. They just will not go into the woo, and that's fine. But I think a lot of the people that were there at the conference that were listening to them talk were kind of hoping for some woo, but they didn't get it.
And was it because there was no woo to discuss? You were there, right? You're over Skinwalker.
Okay. There was woo. There might be woo. I'm going to say this. There probably is woo on the Skinwalker Ranch. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure there is because I've talked to people that have seen the woo. But it's one of those deals where I think I'd have to be there for at least 3 or 4 days, maybe get lucky, 2 days. But what I'm trying to say is that's the kind of place where you need to be there and you need to really scope it out. You need to have the night vision. You need to have the binoculars. You need to be willing to do a little hiking around, and maybe you'll see something. Maybe you won't. I don't know why. If we got lucky at the Blind Frog, or the Blind Frog is more of a hot spot, but if I had to pick one place to go, it would be without question the Blind Frog was way more exciting. We're not supposed to say that. I'm not really. I wouldn't. They don't like the Blind Frog. People don't want us bragging about Blind Frog. They don't want us comparing Blind Frog to Skinwalker. They're very humble people. Dwayne's a great guy, very humble guy. They've got tours. If you want to see the Blind Frog, you can go up there. They've got an actual business there now. They interviewed Ra and I for about 35 minutes, and they're running the video there. And anyway, you can get in a bus and you can drive out there, and they'll give you the tour. The Skinwalker. I don't know. Let's just put it this way: I've seen nothing really jumped off at the Skinwalker for me to get excited about.
Okay, fair enough. So Ra's not with us. I didn't want to bring this up on the show with him. I wanted more of an eyewitness account of what happened. There was a little dust-up between Ra and the Skinwalker crew. What happened?
I didn't know there was a dust-up, but okay, here's what could have happened. I had to sign this non-disclosure kind of agreement, whatever it is. This it basically protects the owners of the property.
No, I'm talking about not that. The Q&A.
No, I remember now. Okay, yes. So during the conference at the Phenomicon in the Vernal, which by the way, it was for the first year. That was like the best first year conference you can ever imagine. I mean, 300 people were there. It was pretty impressive. If people can get out there next year, I recommend it.
Okay, let's get to the event. What happened?
Okay, so all the panels up there, and then they open it up to the audience to ask questions. I think I was out in the hallway when this happened, but Ra stood up and he was asking questions or posing possibilities to the panel that were what I call kind of more of a woo kind of thing, and they just weren't willing to go there, and they just kind of I don't know if they blew him off or if they didn't want to acknowledge his evaluation or his download or whatever it was that he was whatever vibe he was getting from the whole thing. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to look at that stuff. They want to talk about science, which is fine. They're there to find what they can find and prove it with science. And a lot of guys that are into ufology or into anything cryptid oriented, that's what they want. If you don't have science, if you don't have proof, they don't want to hear about it. They're going to troll you. That's not my personality. I mean, I like the scientist guy, but I'm going to go. I'm going to try to find the woo.
Okay, but
I might not be able to prove it to you, but I'm going to talk about it if I see it.
Okay, but what happened? What happened between Ra and the team during the Q&A?
Nothing. I mean, he just whatever he said. I wish he could tell you because I don't remember. I wasn't there in the room when he made his comments. I was in the hallway talking to the Bigfoot guy.
Okay.
So I don't really know what was said. I just know that they weren't really feeling the direction Ra was trying to take the whole conversation.
Were you there when they flipped the table over and started throwing chairs?
What? I didn't hear that. Who told you that?
Okay. I'm making stuff up. Okay. All right.
Turkey.
Oh, man.
No, it was all professional. It never got funky. The whole thing was really clean. Jeff Meldrum was there with his Bigfoot cast, and I plopped $40 down for one of these giant footprint casts that he had, and Tom Dongo. I got to thank Tom Dongo, who actually, if it wasn't for Tom Dongo from Sedona, Arizona, He invited me out there, got me a free pass. I don't think I would have gone because it was just too far to drive. I thought, I'm not driving all the way out there to some Phenomicon conference. Initially, it just wasn't anything I was interested in. And then he said, yeah, I'll get you a free pass. And then I started talking to Ra about it. And then the whole Blind Frog Ranch thing kind of filtered from when we were at the MegaCon. Ra spent like 3 days talking to Dwayne there at the MegaCon, became really good friends with him. Had he not done that, we would have never been invited there. Everything, the cards just fell perfectly. And
okay, that's great. Let me jump in.
All right.
I thought that the Bigfoot footprint cast was for me. What do you mean you bought it for yourself?
If you wanted,
I mean, that's what you said.
I could get another one.
That's what you said to me. You called me.
Go ahead.
You called me up and said, "Do you want a Bigfoot cast?" I said yes. And now you're saying
I don't
that you.
That. But okay, I'll give it to you though. I could get another one. It's no big deal. I'll get another one. It's all good. I'll give it to you.
Okay, this is only like the first 3 days of the adventure. We got another 20 days left. Let's set this up for after the break. After Utah, where did you head next?
From Vernal, I drove to Draper on the 40, and this was the morning, about 5:30 in the morning, when we got up after we'd stayed the night at the Skinwalker adjacent property. Raw went. That's when Raw left to go home. Actually, yeah. Sarah left the day before.
Okay,
Raw
where
went
did
with
you?
us to the Skinwalker, and then anyway.
Where did you drive next on the journey
we
for
went to
Bigfoot?
Draper. Now, listen to me. This is important because we were driving 2 hours through the mountain range, through the valley. And as I'm coming down this hill into the valley, into this little town, I can't think of it, but it's about 30 minutes from Draper. And I see this what do they call those things? Hot air balloons. Clear as day, right in front of me. I mean, there must be some hot air balloon thing going on there where you could pay money and go and get in the hot air balloon, I'm assuming. And I'm looking at this thing as I'm driving, and I'm taking pictures of it because I think it's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, thank God I had my camera in my hand this time, I see this object coming from left to right very quickly. Right, I could clearly see it go in front of, it was behind the hot air balloon. It went beside it and right past it, and I was able to take a picture of it. And then right away, I tried to switch it over to video because I wanted to record it moving, and it was gone. But that was in my opinion, there was no doubt that was a real UFO because that thing moved way too fast, and it was what else could it have been? I don't know what it could possibly else have been. It flew right by that hot air balloon. That was cool. Seeing that was really cool, actually.
I saw the image of it. It was a pretty good capture. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Awakening Man. I want to thank Ra for coming in earlier. Absolutely incredible. This is their UFO Bigfoot road trip. I'll be right back. Stay with us. It is Fade to Black.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Tonight, road trip week, night number 1. Awakening Man with Ra. Ra came and went. Ra's amazing. And now, I expected this with Awakening Man. So we just spent an hour and a half discussing 2 nights on the road. So we got to squeeze in 18 days now, Eric, in a segment, maybe 2. Might have to keep you on. Next.
Dude, if you don't have me on overtime, you're not getting the cast, just so you know.
Oh, that's right. You paid me to be on the show tonight. People aren't supposed to know that. Everybody's wondering how Awakening Man.
As fast as I can. People in your YouTube chat room think I'm on meth or something. They don't understand that I'm just trying to get all the information in as fast as possible.
Okay. Okay. Well, see, you're already wasting time. Let me run the show. Okay. So, oh man. Okay. So Draper, I did see the UFO photograph. That's great. Okay. Where did you head to next? Did you go to Montana?
So I stayed. Draper was the first chance to just kind of chill for one day, just to recover.
Okay. Did you go to Montana?
And then it was time to go to Montana, which Drove all the way through, all the way up through, was it Salt Lake, up through Idaho Falls, all the way up to Missoula, Montana. Where
you went to? Okay, so let's get to. So you're in Montana.
Okay,
and this is to see Duke Sullivan.
Correct. And also this guy who you're going to want to have on the show one day, who's my new hero, of a Bigfoot researcher named William Lunsford. This guy is phenomenal. Texan man, 61 years old, been researching Bigfoot for 44 years. And, as soon as I walk in, so I get to Duke's house. I walk in, he said, "Hey, Eric, walk in the door." And then William Lunsford's already there. And we say our hellos and whatnot. And then we sit down. And this guy, William Lunsford, he knew what I wanted to see, and he didn't waste any time. He pulls out his phone, and he starts showing me pictures. And as he's showing me the pictures, he's telling me the story behind the pictures. And he went on for 2 hours. And I have to be honest, sometimes the information got overwhelming for me. After about the first half hour of seeing these pictures and having him tell me these stories, I actually got nervous. It was like it was too much. I was a little overwhelmed.
Okay, we'll save that for another show. So what happened with Duke? What happened first? You guys, how long were you?
We all get in our vehicles. Duke rode with William Lunsford. He flew in from Texas. He got a rental car. And I drove in my van, of course, and we drove out. It was about an hour and a half drive into the mountains out there. Duke told me the name of the mountains. I can't think of what it is right now, but the Prairie. I think it's the Prairie Mountains or something like that. It's way up there, about 7,000 feet up in the forest, and it was beautiful. I mean, the drive in, we're going through these little funky towns. So there's like 200 people and nothing but ranchers, and so we get up there, and it's about 4:00 in the afternoon, and so everybody's kind of setting up their stuff, all their tents and everything like that and whatnot. And so we get the campfire going, and then we start hearing some sounds. And none of us had heard these types of sounds before. It's not the type of sound that I imagined I would hear.
What did you hear?
Bigfoot were there.
What did it sound like?
Go ahead.
What did it sound like?
Well, it was like a cross between a whistle and a howl. It was like, ooh. And at first, I wasn't sure if it was the wind or the trees or if it was an owl. I mean, I'm thinking all these things in my head. I don't know what the heck this sound is. I've never heard it before. And I said, "Duke, I mean, are you hearing this sound?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, do you know what that is?" He goes, "No, I've never heard that sound before." And none of these other guys, there was 5 other guys there that were Bigfoot researchers that were there, and none of them had heard this sound before. So I'm just in my mind, I'm just kind of putting it on the back burner, thinking, okay, I don't know what this sound is, but it's interesting. So that was it. Just a little bit, not much, just a little bit of a sound. So the next morning, so we sleep in. We're telling camp. This was what was probably the coolest part of the trip for me, is these other guys that were there hadn't heard any of these stories that William was telling me at Duke's house, nor had they seen any of the pictures. So we literally hung around the campfire for no exaggeration about 6 hours, and I got to listen to Bigfoot stories from these guys for 6 hours. It was the great. And I was able to record some of it. I wish I could have recorded all of it, but I didn't. But these stories were phenomenal. If you ever get William Lunsford on your show, I'm sure he'll tell you.
Okay, yeah, let's not circle. Eric, it's bad radio to say that you listen to Bigfoot stories for 6 hours. Let's get to the excitement. What happened?
Okay. So the next morning we wake up. It's 5:30 in the morning. We got the fire going because it's like 22 degrees outside. And then now we're hearing the sounds again. But this time we're not just hearing the sound in one area. We're hearing it in like 2 or 3 areas, kind of around the area where the campsite was. But you can't really tell how far away it is, whether it's 50 yards away.
Are you recording this?
It's hard to tell.
Are you recording the sounds?
Yes, I did record the sound. I've got 2 recordings of these sounds.
Okay, cool.
And
so then what happened?
And one footnote that I want to mention, because this is important. There's a guy named Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. You can find him on YouTube and on Facebook. And this guy does what I wish I could do, which is he literally travels with his wife at the drop of a dime. He's got sponsors. He literally does Bigfoot research 24/7, 12 months out of the year.
Did you meet him? Was he there?
Go ahead.
Was he there with you?
He was not there, but this is important. In his video that he did 3 weeks ago that I just watched yesterday, he's in this. He's up there in Oregon doing some Bigfoot research, and the exact sounds that he was recording were the same exact sounds that we were hearing in Montana. So to me, that was kind of okay. So it's not just here in Montana. These sounds are happening somewhere else with this other Bigfoot.
Okay. So then what happened?
So now it's time to divide up the teams. There's 6 of us, 2 guys go this way, 2 guys go that way, 2 guys go this way. Duke says, okay, and we all, each of us had a guide with us that had already been there before. So we're trudging through the forest. There's no paths. There's no trails. We're literally, climbing through, tall grass, dead trees, climbing up rocks. I mean, this is legitimate hiking. And we're going to these areas where Duke has been before, where these massive tree structures. These are not these little cool tree structures that you saw pictures of on Twitter here that I was posting from Ashley. These things are 5-6 times the size, with trees and logs much thicker and much taller. I mean, these trees are 80 to 120 feet tall, and they're all intertwined like a teepee. They're just crossed up and then they're woven together, and you got 2 of these trees that are off the ground. They didn't come out of the ground in that area because there's no roots anywhere. There's no disturbance in the ground. These things were placed there. That's the only way they could have got there. But what was interesting is the whole time we're hiking around looking for tree structures, there's also lots of megalithic rock structures up there that were really cool that we're taking pictures of. So my intuition was telling me that this area, something was going on here many, many moons ago, beyond humanity that we know now. That it just felt, the vibe I got was this was a hot spot, no doubt about it. And but we were not hearing any sounds. As soon as we left the campsite and walked into the woods and started hiking, not one sound did we hear the whole entire time. Then after our little hike in the morning, we come back to the campsite in the afternoon, and the sounds start up again. But now it's not just 1 or 2. You've got 3 of them. You got 4 of them. You've got sounds kind of like in a half moon shape all around us. And it wasn't scary. It wasn't intimidating. It was just strange. So we're sitting there, and Duke's sitting there next to me, and the other guys we're all in kind of a circle around the campfire. And all of a sudden I hear this loud crackle, pop, pop, crackle. And I'm looking over, and I see this 80 to 100 foot pine tree or whatever type of tree it was. It's coming down. It's not coming down on the campsite, but it's coming down near the road where we drove in, and it just crashes into the ground. So right away I hop up, and Duke hops up, and I said, let's go see what's going on. I didn't even think about, if Bigfoot pushed that tree over, I didn't really care. I just wanted to go see what had happened.
So what happened?
So we walked up there.
That's a pretty big tree.
We walked up there,
it must have been loud.
The tree was laying on the ground. Go ahead. I'm sorry, what?
I said it must have been loud.
It was really loud. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, and what was interesting is all these guys said that they've never seen a tree fall down in the forest or heard a tree fall down in the forest. It was their first time experiencing that also. Duke was he thought it was cool. So we went, we saw the tree. The tree had snapped off about 3 feet up. It looked like it might have been cut at one point, but I don't know for sure, but it's possible that, I'm not going to speculate and say that Bigfoot pushed this tree over. I guess it could have been, but I'm not going to claim that that's what happened. Okay. So then, so that day kind of goes on, and then we go on another hike in the afternoon.
Well, hold on,
Eric,
stop. Did the tree break, or were the roots out of the ground? How did it just fall over? I mean,
that we don't know. It did break, but we don't know how it fell.
Okay, so
I'm going to get to the next part of the story is even more interesting. Is again, we're around the campsite. We're hearing the sounds. It's a little bit windy, and you could see all the trees from where we were. And there's this one area about maybe 100 yards away where there's about 5 trees that are moving around. You could see them moving, and they're swaying. But the trees around it were not moving. So it couldn't have been the wind, because if it was the wind, then all the trees in that area would have been moving. These were all the same height. And then all of a sudden, crack, snapple, pop, again, another tree's coming down. This time it's in another area, this huge tree.
All right.
And Duke could see it, and this thing comes slamming down. Again, this is about 50 to 75 yards from where we were sitting. And again, I pop up, and I said, I'm going to go up there. I got to see what happened. And hike up the mountain. And this tree literally came out of the ground. The roots are out of the ground. This tree was not chopped or cut. It might have been pushed over. I don't know. But this tree was laying there with roots and all, just laying on the ground, 100-foot long tree.
So 150-foot trees are just falling down around you guys.
Yes, 2 trees, yes, in a matter of 2 days.
Wow. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I've never had one tree fall down next to me, let alone 2. And those are big trees.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So fast forwarding, there's this lady named Robin McCrae. If you're ever going to have a female guest to come on your show to talk about Bigfoot, she would be the lady, because apparently she has psychic abilities, and for whatever reason, she's able to communicate psychically with the Bigfoot.
Okay.
So she apparently is able to have conversations or whatever communications with Bigfoot, even if she's not there. So Duke calls her up after, and I'm kind of fast forwarding because there's more to tell about that little trip there in Montana. But Duke called her up and said, "Hey, we got trees falling down. We're hearing these strange noises. Talk to me." And she says, "Yes, those are the Sasquatch. They're out there. That they're keeping their distance. But those are the Sasquatch that are making these sounds. Yes, those are the Sasquatch that they're playing with you guys. They pushed the tree over." She's telling Duke that this is what's happening. Again, I don't know if that's fact or if that's really what happened, but that's what she believes happened. And Duke believes her because she's apparently got a pretty good track record with her psychic abilities with the Sasquatch. So that was exciting to find out. And here's the other thing that was kind of cool, is apparently Duke's brought other people up to the site in the past. And for whatever reason, the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot did not like a couple of these people that he's brought up there. So they do what he calls, they zap them. Somehow they do something where they zap you and you get a headache and you have no energy and you just want to lay down and you don't want to do anything. And a couple people that have been up there, they had to go home early because they were sick. But this particular occasion, the lady told Duke that these Sasquatch, these Bigfoot, liked me, they liked William, and they were glad that we were there. So, this was kind of cool hearing all this stuff. I have no evidence any of it's true, but this is the story that's being told to me, and these are the experiences that I'm having.
Interesting. And now this is day number 1 with Duke.
Yeah, we're on day number 2 now.
Okay.
And so the third day, I'm camping in this little area in my van, kind of a little bit away from where the campsite was, maybe 20 yards, 30 yards over. And behind my van, there's this pile of, and I'll show you when I see you, and I'll post some pictures of these really nice crystal rocks. They had this little brown sheen on the outside, but the quality of the crystal was good. This was not super clear crystal, but if you were to polish it, it would be, it's the kind of thing you'd put and hang out on your mantle at your house. This is some nice crystal. And there was a whole pile of them in the ground, in the dirt right behind my van. And so Duke says that they left those there as a gift for us. And Duke says that the Sasquatch apparently told this Robin McCrae lady that each of us can take one of these crystal rocks that they left there as a gift. And so we did. And so we took these rocks. And again, this is just more kind of strange, weird things. All these little minor, and we didn't see the Sasquatch, didn't see the Bigfoot. I personally did not see a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch when I was there, but every other experience that you can imagine having, other than maybe having rocks thrown at us. If they didn't like us, apparently they would have been throwing these crystal rocks at us, but they liked us, so they didn't. They placed them there and they gave them as a gift to us.
And what about sightings? Did you see Bigfoot with Duke?
No sightings. Although one of the sightings that Duke had a month before, he was up on this one mountain that we were together at the third day, and he was showing me this area where they filmed some Bigfoot that were in this tree area. And I think I sent you those pictures. And he says, okay, this is where we were when I didn't even realize the Bigfoot were there, but I was scanning with my camera, and I happened to scan by and there was some of them in this wood pile, and one of them had peeked his head up, and you can clearly see the cone head, you could see the face, you could see the eyes, and the eyes were red, which was interesting. So they weren't happy that Duke was up there, and apparently there were some babies up there in the tree pile that Duke sees, and his other fellow researchers can see. I mean, I could see them. I'm not going to bet my last dollar that there were baby Bigfoot in this pile of wood, but I do believe that there was a large Sasquatch. I can clearly see the head and the face and the eyes. And so anyway, he took me to that spot, and I was able to observe that there was no tree stumps there. There was no shadows. There was nothing else there that could have possibly been anything other than, well, I shouldn't say possibly, but I believe that he really did film a Bigfoot on the previous trip. We didn't see the Bigfoot on this particular trip, which was kind of a bummer, but I wasn't expecting to see the Bigfoot.
So where did you, okay, so I would say that you saw a lot of compelling evidence suggesting things are going on. I like the falling trees.
Correct.
The falling trees is pretty weird. These tree structures.
The sounds were weird too. Oh, I left one part out. So at one point it was getting towards. It was the second night. It was starting to get dark, and the sounds were really kicking off. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to walk out to the road. I'm just going to cross the road. I'm going to go into the forest area here behind these trees. I'm just going to sit down, and I'm just going to record. I mean, but hopefully I'll get a better quality sound recording of these sounds. And as soon as I got out there, the sound stopped. But I stood out there for about 10 minutes, just sitting there, just waiting. And then all of a sudden I hear this loud pop, like if you took a baseball bat and just cracked it over your leg. I mean, it was a quick, loud snap. Like a loud tree snap. It wasn't a tree falling over or somebody or a monkey in the tree breaking, or but this was strange. This was loud, and so I'm going to guess that might have been. I mean, Bigfoot apparently do that. They do snap trees, and that's what it sounded like to me. I didn't see it, but that's what my interpretation of was their way of saying, okay, we're not going to make any more howling or whistling sounds, but we're going to give you a little tree snap for you to take home. And so that was my last little experience. That gave me some sort of clue that maybe there was Bigfoot there in Montana, in that area.
Now you say goodbye to Duke. Where do you head next on your road trip?
Now it's back to Draper.
Okay.
I was going to go to Draper, and actually, I wanted to stop in Idaho. There's a lady there named Becky Cook who's written 4 books about Bigfoot in Idaho. I'd already talked to her and mentioned her that if I can come by and meet her and talk to her, that I would try. And so I was just exhausted though. I didn't have it was getting late. I was driving through. It was too late to stop. So I just drove through Idaho, went right to Draper, which is about 3 hours heading south. Got to Draper, and the plan was that the next day I was going to go home. And I there was something inside of me saying, you can't go home. You need to go back to Idaho. You need to go meet Becky Cook. You need to verify these stories that she's telling and writing in her book. You need to do. I just didn't feel like my research was complete yet. So I called her up and I said, listen, I said, I kind of passed you up, but I feel like I need to come back. She says, come on out. So the next day I drove out to Idaho Falls, and she went right to her house. And so I get to her house. Let's see, what time have we got right here? So we got about 8 minutes, but we can go further if you want to. Anyway, or if you want to take calls, I'm cool with that too.
No, keep going.
So I get to her house. This part of the story I really get fired up about, because all of it was great, but this was like the icing on the cake for me. I had no idea I was going to hear what I was going to hear, or even meet the person that I met. So I did ask her before I drove out there. I go, listen, I said, when I get there, is there any chance that you could take me to these areas where you've had your sightings, or whatever your experiences, or in your research area? Because I mean, a lot of Bigfoot researchers, they don't want to bring you to their research area. And I get that. They don't want people trampling around out in their research area. They don't want them, if there are Bigfoot out there, they don't want to tick them off. It's like they want to complete their research before they bring somebody else into their little area. I get all that. But she was cool. She says, yeah, absolutely. You come out here and I'll introduce you to this guy. He lives in this valley. It's about 50 miles away from Idaho Falls, deep into the forest area where there's nothing but ranchers and the nearest neighbor is like 5 acres or 10 acres away. I mean, there's just population 200.
Okay.
Visualize that.
Yeah. I don't need all that.
Anyway, so I'm there. She goes, I go, we're chatting, getting to know each other, spent about an hour and a half on her porch. She's telling me stories. And I said, well, let's go. Can we go out there? I want to meet this guy. His name's Dave. I don't really have permission to use his last name, but maybe in the future I will. And so we're driving out there. We stopped at this one restaurant out there and had a New York steak strip dinner. And I said, I'll buy you guys dinner, da-da-da-da. So then we get to this guy's house. It's about 7 o'clock. It's not quite dark yet. The sun's down. And this guy's sitting on his porch out there. And this is like, if I was making a movie, this location where this guy lived and the setting would have been like Little House on the Prairie for Bigfoot. It was just like the perfect Bigfoot setting.
Okay, so what happened?
So we get there. So we get there, and this guy, he has no fear. This guy, he has no shyness. He's like me. He's 69 years old. He's like, he knew I was there to hear the stories. He wasn't there just to make a little small talk. So he starts going into the stories, and then Becky's there with her husband, and she's sitting there and she's listening. And so at one point I said, would it be okay if I camped out here? And he says, sure, absolutely, you can camp out here. I said, great. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm just going to camp out here.
Okay,
tonight.
Did you camp there?
Dark.
Did you camp there?
Pardon?
Did you camp there?
I did not camp there.
Okay, all right.
You want me? I could probably wrap this up in 5 minutes if you want.
No. I think we already wrapped up this part of it. So where did you head next?
No, there's a better part coming. There's a better part coming. Actually, the best part is coming.
Okay, why didn't we do that first? I didn't need to hear about a steak
this is
dinner.
The last part of the show. This is my last night. I didn't know this was going to happen. I had no clue that this was going to happen. I'll just tell you. So we're in the guy's kitchen. Becky and her husband left. It's dark. It's pitch black out there.
Uh-huh.
We're in the kitchen. He's showing me all these. He's showing me all this stuff in his house. I mean, he's
what
a professional
happened?
trapper.
Okay, what happened? We got 1 minute before the break.
We're sitting at the kitchen table, and all of a sudden there's this knock, 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 knock on the window. And I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Something just knocked on the window." I go, but nobody lives. You're the only person that lives out here. You don't have any neighbors. He goes, "I know." I go, "Has that ever happened before?" He goes, "No. I've been here 20 years and nobody's ever knocked on my window."
What happened?
So a little time goes by, boom, and we hear it again. We're not looking at the window because we're talking, and we hear it again. So we get the flashlight, we go outside, we're trying to see if we could see anything. We don't see anything. Okay. So then we go back in the house, and then now this is where the apple tree. I got to tell you the apple tree story.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to take a break.
All right.
This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Eric, Awakening Man. And so we got through the steak dinner and the drive and the not camping, and we got that out of the way so we could get to the apple tree. This is the big stuff. This is Fade to Black. It's Eric, Awakening Man's road trip, UFOs and Bigfoot. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
You are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Eric Awakening Man is our guest tonight. Ra was with us earlier tonight. And we're going into overtime. And Eric has paid for overtime, so he's going to get that tonight. And the apple tree. Now, and I want everybody to know this conversation tonight with Eric and I, this is exactly how it is when he's sitting at dinner with me. We have the same, Eric, get to the point. Okay, so anyway, but this apple tree story, I told Eric not to tell me anything. I want to hear it fresh, and he agreed. Okay, so you're at this house, right? And there's knocking at the window twice. He lives alone. You're alone there, so there's nobody there. You go outside with the flashlights, and you guys don't encounter anything. And what is going on with? What's that sound in the background? Is that you?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Dead alone. Dead silent.
Okay. All right. That's strange. Okay. So the apple tree. Tell us about the apple tree.
Okay. Just prior to the apple tree, this is important because I'm going to bring back the UFO part one more time because this actually blew my mind. So I'm with the guy, and we've been talking for about 3 hours, and I'm thinking in my head, this is all Bigfoot. Everything's Bigfoot. But I know, based on my research so far, that oftentimes you people that are experiencing the Bigfoot have also experienced, whether you want to call it a UFO, a UAP, or a big light in the sky, or whatever you want to call it, they've seen those two in the vicinity or at the same time as the Bigfoot. This is very common. So I said to the guy, I just out of the clear blue sky, just comes into my head. I go, I'm actually more of a UFO researcher turned Bigfoot researcher. I said, so I'm curious, have you ever seen any strange lights in the sky? And he goes, oh, and his eyes light up. And he gets up out of his chair and he walks over to the living room where the big glass window is, and he points to this mountain. And I'm not going to use the words. You can see it on Twitter. You'll hear his exact words because he dropped this couple F-bombs. He says, one night I was sitting here and this big ball of light comes floating across the sky. And he says it goes right in to the effing mountain. And I said, right into the mountain? He goes, yeah. He goes, right into the effing mountain. It just disappeared. He goes, I don't know if it crashed or what happened, but it went right into the mountain. And I said, so what did you do? I said, did it catch fire? He goes, no. And then he says, then I go, well, what did you do? He goes, well, the next morning I got in my truck and I drove out there, and he drove around the mountain and he saw nothing. There was nothing there. There was no crash. But this guy was convinced that there was this huge light that went into the mountain. So then the last story was the apple tree. So I said, what time of the year do these things typically come through? Are they here all the time? Is there a certain time of the year? He goes, yes, he says they migrate. He says, I've seen structures over there, and he points to this other mountain that's like about 5 miles away to the right. And he says, and they're over there at this time of the year because of this reason. And he says, but this time of the year, they come through this valley. And he points to the left. And I posted this picture before. There's all these little mountains and this little valley. And he owns this house, the last house in the valley. And he's actually built roads for the Forest Service. So this road that goes in about 2 miles into this valley. And he says he's got some apple trees out there. And these are huge apple trees. These aren't your little junior apple trees. He says they're 25 feet tall, 30 feet tall apple trees. He says he loves apples. He gets the apples. He makes applesauce, so on and so forth. So he said every year. He said last year I was out there and I'm looking at the apples. He's going, it's time to pick the apples. So the next day he gets in his truck. He drives out there, and all the apples are gone except for a few of them at the top of the tree. And he says, I'm going to tell you something. He says, nobody's going out on my property. Nobody lives out there. This is forest land. He says, I couldn't tell you how it's even possible. There were 300 apples on that tree the day before. A few of them at the very top peak were missing, 25 feet up in the sky. He says, he didn't say to me that the Bigfoot stole his apples, but that's basically what he's saying. So I said, well, so have you kind of researched the area? Have you gone into the forest and you kind of, he says, and then he tells me one last story, and this is actually kind of a freaky story. He says, I have friends that come out here and they know about the Bigfoot. This lady, Becky Cook, that I told you about that took me out there, she's interviewed 11 people that live in this valley that have all seen the Bigfoot. This is what her books are based on, this area where I'm at. She said that one of his friends comes out, he lets him hunt on his land. And he was out hiking in the mountains out there, and he came across this pile of bones. And he tells this guy, Dave, he goes, after his hunting trip, he comes back to the house, says, Dave, I'm up there, and there's a bunch of bones up there of all sorts of animals. And right away, when he told me that, ding, 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 in my mind, the story that Scott told, you probably heard Scott the Rocker about the time when he was a kid out there in Michigan, I believe it was Michigan, where they saw the Bigfoot, and then they were in there camping, and they saw this pile of bones. I don't know if you remember that part of the story, but right away I was like, oh my God, this is the same thing that he's telling me that Scott had told me. So this guy, Dave, says he didn't know if he believed his friend. He thought maybe his friend was pulling his leg. So he got in his truck after the guy left, drove out to this area where this guy had been hunting, and he found the area where these bones were, and he counted 36 carcasses, bones that had just been piled up in this area out there in the mountains. What does that, Jimmy? What does that?
Well, did you go? Did you go with him? What about the apple tree? Did you see?
I decided after the window knock and hearing that, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not prepared mentally or psychologically to camp out here yet. And that's what I told you the other day. I says, I really think I need to go back because the apples are still on the tree right now as we speak. And he said to me before I left, he goes, those apples will be there for at least a couple more weeks, maybe. But after that, they'll be gone. He goes, if you're going to come back, you need to come back soon. If you want to try to do your little research thing on my mountain. So in my mind, I'm thinking if I could get back out there and maybe be lucky enough to see if it is the Bigfoot taking these apples off this tree. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm pretty burned out, though. I got to be honest with you. I'm pretty tired. That's 1,100 miles to get out there.
And so what's the deal? Are you driving out tomorrow?
Well, probably, I'm still on the fence. The van's got an issue with the belt and the tensioner and the pulley. So I've got to put that on there. And, he's going out of town. He's going to go on some hunting trip. So if I do go out there, I'm going to be out there all by myself. And, as fearless as I am, I'm not so sure that I want to be out there in that forest all by myself. So I'm on the fence. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but I will be going back there at some point. If I don't go now, I've got 4 spots now. I've got the Montana spot. I've got the spot in Idaho. I've got the spot in the Ashland Forest I can go camping at. And there was one other spot that I came across. I can't think of it, but yeah. So I've done the surveillance on 4 areas where I believe there's Bigfoot. And so now it's just a matter of finding somebody who's got the guts to go out there with me that has the time. Because it's not something I think that anybody should just do by themselves.
So
that's just my take on that.
What's your, so many things happened on this trip.
Yeah.
The first night at the bed and breakfast, the second night with Ra, the triangle UFO is one thing, but it was the 3 UFOs intercepting the big one. That's pretty incredible. And so you had quite a bit of UFO stuff. You had everything that was going down at Blind Frog Ranch. Going through these tree structures and things, not only at Blind Frog, but continuing on your journey. There's a lot of stuff to absorb. And as you've been back now for a day or two and able to just kind of look back at everything, going all the way back to our little adventure, which was the first day of this long road trip, where we saw some pretty interesting things, and I still don't know what's up with that Christmas tree thing. I don't know how to describe that sighting that we had. That was pretty interesting. But what's going through your mind as you start to put all of this together about this trip?
I'm thinking now that I want to do this full time. It's more of it's been a hobby for me. If I go to a conference and I get a chance, it's expensive. I mean, I can afford it to a degree, but I've never been one to try to ask for money or try to do a GoFundMe or anything like that. But I'm thinking that if I could set something up that's reasonable, where I could get just a few people that want like firsthand information when I get it right away, or I could get people to chip in, because it's $500 just to drive there and back in gas. But I could spend $2,000 or $3,000 a month in gas. I can go to all these places, and I'd be willing to, but I would want a little bit of help. And so what I might do something. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I just don't want to come across as like I'm begging for money or
we're getting sideways. The question is, what did you learn on this trip?
What I believed already I knew is this phenomenon is all over the place. I mean, UFOs and Bigfoot, it's everywhere. I mean, maybe not everywhere, but there's certainly evidence that exists that I could go to. And here's the deal. You spend 1 or 2 or 3 days in a spot, you're going to get lucky. Like, I think we got lucky to see those things that we saw in Vernal that first night. Very lucky. I think I was lucky to meet that guy at that conference just by chance, and he took us to those spots. I was grateful to have met Duke through the Glog series. In Idaho is where Kevin Lang is from. So the fact that they're saying Bigfoot is in Idaho and that Kevin Lang had his experiences there, I'm very intrigued by Idaho. And all this is within like a 5-hour driving. So once I get my rear end and Draper, I can go 5 hours any direction, and any of these places that I've been to, I can access. So, and my buddy said I could stay at his house anytime I want. He wants to go with me. So I don't have to pay for lodging. I don't, so it's just a matter of, as long as my vehicle's running good and I've got gas in the tank. So yeah, but the winter's coming now. So I don't know, but I'm telling you, I'm more passionate about it now than ever. And I do want to, I want to have a sighting. I want to be able to record it. Obviously that's the money shot. Didn't have the money shot this time, but all the stories and all the experiences that I had, add up to quite a bit that I'm excited about. And I don't want to say I'm depressed, but being home and just living my normal life is boring to me now. I want to get out there. I want to do it again. I'm addicted. I'm addicted.
Now, who's going to run your company while you're gone? Do you have a way to?
The company can run part-time through management on my end, but to be honest with you, I don't really care so much about trying to be the leader in big in bounce house rentals. That doesn't matter. This is my passion now.
Right.
Bigfoot is my passion, and UFOs kind of work hand in hand with that whole thing. So that's my passion. I mean, it's like for anybody. I mean, all the people that you've had on your show. I mean, that are into UFOs or whatever they're into. I mean, it becomes their passion, and that becomes their driving force. And so this is kind of, I think this is what's going to drive me. And so I'm not going to be able to make as much money at my business because I really want to figure out a way to transition into doing this on a more full-time basis. I don't know how I'm going to manage it, but I'll figure it out.
Now, what do we do, Eric? You're out there collecting all of this information, and I interview so many people that Bigfoot seems to be two different conversations. There is the physical, biologicals, undiscovered species thing that is absolutely part of anthropology. And then there's the other side of Bigfoot that is this interdimensional, interplanetary situation. Now, it's two different conversations that are happening right now. What do we do with that?
I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't think it's one or the other. If I had to bet right now, I would say it's both. I think that it's possible, more likely to be possible, that there's a species of beings, we'll call them Bigfoot, just for this conversation, that for whatever reason are either always physical or primarily physical, that function in the forest however it is they function. Then I also believe, if you take like what Dr. Johnson said and some other people, that there's maybe potentially a race of interdimensional type beings that may also be recognized as Bigfoot. Maybe they don't call themselves Bigfoot, but maybe they look like Bigfoot, that are able to come and go, either whether they appear or they disappear or they cloak or whatever it is they're doing. They seem to have more abilities that they are able to exhibit that maybe these other types of Bigfoot don't. I don't know. It's a mystery. That's why I'm excited about it. This is a mystery that I don't know will ever get solved, that I'm determined to try. And the UFOs, I mean, we've all seen them. I mean, when I say we've all, probably most of the listeners, if not you and I, of course, lots of people, we know they're real. We know they're out there. We know they're not all satellites. They're not all helicopters. They're not all back-engineered,
right.
Lockheed Skunk Works, even though that does exist. But they're not all. Whether we're being visited or they already are here and they just decide to go out and cruise the skies sometimes, I don't know. But it's pretty obvious that UFOs are completely real. The Bigfoot thing is, a lot of people are still on the fence about it. And so I'm hoping to break that fence down and maybe find more proof and more evidence that's going to take people over the edge. Well, I'm over the edge.
Well, okay, so let's stay right here for a second. You had your experience with Bigfoot in Arizona, which I would say that was physical. You were, I don't know if you want to say attacked, or you certainly were confronted by entities of some kind that were taller than your van. And by the way, he's got an extended top, large van.
Right.
And once I, saw your van after your description of looking out of the windows and how this went down, these were obviously very big. With that experience, that whatever is shaking your van is physical. This isn't some interdimensional light being, right? And it was a violent encounter. So when that happens and you're saying it's not one or the other, it could be both. What was that encounter that you had?
That's where I've only been researching this for about a year and a half, and the Mogollon, they call it the Mogollon monster where I was. So, and then even the William, who's from Arkansas and Texas area, they call it the Fouke monster, the legend of Boggy Creek. That's where he lives.
Right.
He says the Bigfoot, whether you call him Bigfoot or Dugways or you call him Dogman or whatever these things are, in some parts of the United States and maybe other parts of the world, these things behave differently. They look different. They're not all the same. Kind of like humans, we're depending on where you live and where you're raised and what you. I mean, we kind of look the same. We kind of act the same generally, but we're not all the same. That's kind of how I correlate this whole Bigfoot thing, where for whatever reason they don't all act and behave the same. Maybe, I'm guessing. I don't know enough yet, but I could tell you this guy, William Lunsford, and this other guy that I talked to, I mean, they got 40, 50 years of experience. These are the guys, when you get these guys on your show, you pick their brain. They're going to tell you a lot more than I've told you tonight. I'm just telling you that I went out and tried to verify these stories. I was hoping to have some experiences. I did have some experiences. I didn't see one, but I believe these stories because there's some stories I believe, some I don't, but I believe the stories that I was told in the last 20 days. I don't think anybody was BSing me. Not one of them.
So, but what you encountered, was that physical?
I guess so. I mean, it had to be. I mean, it was pushing on my van, and whatever knocked me down, I didn't see it knock me down. I mean, it could have been like, you brought up an interesting point. I didn't think about this. You mentioned there might have been 3 there, and I didn't think about it. I was thinking that maybe the 2 that were pushing on my van followed me or ran me down on the road. But it's also possible, after you mentioned, there could have been a 3rd one in the forest out in the area where I was running, and that one might have slipped out of the forest and knocked me down. I don't know. I didn't see it. I just know it happened. So I don't have the concrete answers. I just know that these things are really happening. There's people out there trying to figure it out. No one's really totally figured it out yet. People come up with some interesting evidence and great stories, but but here's the deal. I don't want to meet a gray. I don't want to meet a reptilian. Okay. I don't want to go out and searching for grays or searching for reptilians, but for some reason, I'm cool with the Bigfoot. I don't think they're going to hurt me. I don't think they're going to try to kill me. I don't think they're going to try to abduct me or eat me. I just don't get that vibe from them. So I'm willing to put myself out on a limb, hoping that I'll see one in the light or maybe again in the dark where I could see their face and I could see their eyes. I mean, I'm just kind of yearning for that one more chance. That's really where I'm at with it. I'm chasing it right now. I'm chasing it.
Well, I want to go and spend some time squatching. I love sky watching. I love going out and seeing things, and I've seen stuff that I can't explain, and I don't ever want that to end. I'm going to continue to do that. But I think I'm going to get an RV, and I am going to go out to these locations and camp out and do this. And I'll bet a dime to a dollar that in 2022, I am going to have an RV.
Right on.
And I'm going to go out there and get this done.
It's patience with these. It's UFOs. You and I both know. You could probably see those just about any night if you have the right equipment and you're in the right spot. With the Bigfoot, you got to be patient. I mean, it's one of those things where you might be out there 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and you'll have all the same experiences I did, but you may not see one. Maybe you will. I mean, but that's the thing. You got to have your mindset's got to be, you can't have any expectations. But I do recommend you have somebody with you. I mean, I mentioned this to you before. I mean, I had this vision of Jimmy Church Radio going on the road. and potentially broadcasting your shows on the road. It wouldn't be quite the studio bunker that you have now, but you could do your squatching and your night watching and still do your show and not be tied into being, at the Edwards Air Force Base every night in the underground bunker.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well,
that's what it's going to take, in my opinion, if you really want to have the experience. That you got to kind of prepare, even if you did it for a week or two. You say, okay, Jimmy Church Radio is going on the road for 2 weeks. We're going here, here, and here. We're going to broadcast from the road, and the sound quality is going to be good. It may not be what you're used to, but it doesn't matter because we're going to go find Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can get a satellite uplink and equip things out and all of that is automated and computerized and
right.
And that all of that is possible. I mean, if I get an RV, there's going to be a studio inside of it of some kind. I mean, that's the reason for doing it. Yeah, absolutely. And I have the means to do it.
And my pitch to you, and here's my pitch to you, is that I believe you're going to do this.
I know.
I believe that whether it's discovery or history or travel or whoever, that if they knew what you're planning to do, and if you want to bring me along, that is a TV show all day long, and it's a good one because I think we can do better. I personally believe than what we've been seeing on these other shows. I believe that.
Yeah. It won't be on network television though. A&E and History Channel
Netflix,
and Discovery.
Amazon, Netflix.
Well,
whatever.
I have
we
connections.
make a series of it. We sell it to them. Whatever.
I have connections.
I know you do. I know.
I do. But I think. Look, this is my way of bringing granite countertops to the forest. Look, my RV is not going to be a womp.
No. You need a 4-wheel drive, first of all, I recommend. And if you really, if you're the man of means that I think you are, you get that Mercedes high top.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, I do.
You're gonna go about 150, 170K in the hole, but who cares?
Yeah. Well, I've been looking at those adventure vans and getting a 4-wheel drive version of that. That's possible too as well. But I'm thinking more of a Class B, 20, 25 foot, not too big.
Keep it as small as you can do because you're going to get into areas where you're not going to be able to get that Class B into.
Right. I mean, look, I would like a Class A. I would like to get Bono's old tour bus from the Joshua Tree tour, but that I can't maneuver that up into these remote locations. But getting an RV, equipping it, getting cameras and radio and audio and all of that. With the satellite feeds is completely doable, and I think that is the plan for 2022 to go out there and get this done. And we could, continue to do the show live every night. That's not going to get interrupted, right. And then we could do the other stuff. So, yeah, I think it's totally doable. Ken Priest just posted. See, Ken, this is me. That's what I would like to do, to be able to pull up in a Class A and do the pop-outs. But where that is perfect. But I've got to scale it down just a bit from that. But Ken knows where my taste is. With that, I got to get out of here. Eric, great show tonight, man. And keep doing what you're doing. And I'll talk to you first thing in the morning, man. Thank you so much.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And this was for the faders. I love all the faders. I'm never going to stop being a fader. I'm going to give it all to you guys anytime I get it.
I'll talk to you, Eric. Have a good night, man. Be safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was a great show tonight, man. And thank you so much, Eric. And getting out there and getting it done. Seriously, man. Seriously. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark T. Kovar. Webmasters, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black of the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Billy Carson, Road Trip Week, night number 2. Tomorrow night with Billy Carson. But until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.